You was looking at your phone, weren't you, Lee? I was waiting to see if you got caught out then.
No, something come up on eBay. I was just like, oh.
So, how is everybody?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yourself?
All good.
Yeah, not bad. Had a busy day. Had a few things I had to sort out, but yeah, not bad. Raring to go. Right, so I suppose we should explain what this one is about, since it's called the Arcade Special. So we're going to be having Alex on from the Arcade Archive, formerly known as Nintendo Arcade, and he's going to be talking about the Arcade Museum, and we've got a little bit to show on that as well. So yeah, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to this. We haven't done an arcade-based one before, have we, guys? So
No, definitely not.
No, and the arcades are my era as well. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
yeah,
Both me and Scott did our camera angle, so we got an arcade in the background.
Oh,
Get it the right way.
looks good. And what have you got on your one, Scott? Is that Turbo Outrun?
that's the Turbo Outrun arcade, but it's got the Smarty board in it, so I can play Outrun, Power Drift, obviously Turbo Outrun, and there's an update. I need to get hold of Martin because I can add a load more games: Super Monaco GP, Chase 8.
Nice.
Oh, nice. That's
Get
good.
them, it'll be amazing.
Nice. And what have you got on your one, Si?
Well, this is the game. Well, to be honest, it's a tabletop arcade with everything on it. But I've been playing Juno first, which we played at our meetup at Scott's house.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those games that ever since then I just keep going back to. And if you've not played this game, definitely give it a go because it's a great laugh.
we had so much fun.
Paul's got a great stance when he plays it as well. I mean, he gets.
It's literally like me firing stance. It's sort of.
Right, I'm just going to quickly go through the comments and then we'll get Alex in. See, probably won't be able to go through all of them because we've got quite a bit to try and fit in here, haven't we?
Just speed
Right,
through.
first-
Speed through.
I wonder what that could be about. Funny enough, this comment actually came up over a week ago. this was already on it. Yeah, because I saw it. Rock and Roller RC. Hello, mate. How you doing? Oh, we've got
See you,
Marathon
Trev.
Gaming.
Scott.
Yep. Said about grabbing a drink.
What do you got?
School night for me.
What's this guy doing on
Oh,
here? Come on.
hello, me.
She go away, Jesus.
He's on everything though, isn't he?
Yeah. All right, Alex, how you doing?
I've hardly been on any live streams recently.
Yeah, you haven't actually compared to normal.
I think before you used to be on like 3-4 a week, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back
Billy.
to basics and back to making videos. To be honest.
Billy, Jamie, just in the notifications. Yep, I'm well. I hope you're the same, mate. And I think all the rest is everyone really saying hello to each other.
Yeah,
Oh, let's
I've just
not
seen
forget-
I've just seen Knott's Gamers there in the comment as well. And ever since our Blackpool meetup, he's not been very well from COVID. So I hope you get better soon, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he might have a little bit of
He
long
has,
COVID.
yeah,
you know?
he has. He's suffering. So he's dragged himself out of bed to watch these idiots talk about retro.
I hope he's not got it as bad as I had it, because I mean, you guys know that went on for months.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he don't get it like that, because that just saps your strength. That does. We've got Cyber Snake. Hello, just quick hello.
Hey,
Oh, he's
Jay.
working.
He's grafting. Works nights.
Yeah. And like you said, there's Rob. And I think, we got Evanil and Tetley.
Hey,
Right.
I always have an eye.
Right, let's get Alex in. And we can get this little thing going. Right, Alex, how you doing?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Yeah, well, good mate.
Yeah,
Yourself?
not bad.
Hey,
Yeah.
Alex.
Busy?
That's an understatement of the year.
I love that laugh there. That laugh there was a laugh of someone who hasn't sat down all day.
That's
No.
what I thought I'd ask.
Extremely busy. The last 2 months has been crazy, but you know, all positive stuff. It's all good stuff.
Apart from your car breaking down. Or your van.
Yeah.
The van's done a lot of miles. A lot of miles. I mean, I think one day I went from Southampton to Newcastle, Nurg. Then I cut across to Manchester. Then I went up to Glasgow. Then I went up to Fife. And then I came back down to Oxfordshire again.
So
a
no wonder
space
it
of-
broke down.
in 2
Was that on
days.
one tank?
In over 2 days, that was over a weekend. But the funny thing was, within like a mile of me getting back home, the van broke down literally up this road after it'd done all those miles.
Well, at least he got you pretty much home.
And it
So
happened a couple of times like that.
Every cloud has a silver lining, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
It's
if you
all
was
been
to
good.
guess, how many miles do you reckon you put on that since you started all of this with the arcade?
Oh God.
2000.
Yeah, 2,500, something like that. Picking up machines.
Wow.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, Alex, seeing you move the arcades on your own, you really need
Yeah.
to get someone to give you a hand.
Oh, I know.
I know. I was looking at the way you were lifting something.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, you use your back. You.
As somebody else is standing there with a camera just going, yeah, you're doing all right, Alex.
I know. Neil's always there with his GoPro filming. It's quite good. It adds another angle to the videos, which is quite nice. And then I just edit all together. Just put all my stuff, a little bit of his stuff in there. And my editing, I'm really enjoying the editing of the videos at the moment. It's a lot of fun. And it's nice.
Videos are really good.
Yeah, they're getting better. There's a couple of bits, if you look like, because I've had to go back into the arcade, especially with that gunfight video, and do a bit of B-roll, which I forgot to put in. And then if you look closely, there's a Atari Pong that suddenly just appears, then disappears.
I won't worry.
No one saw it. It was hilarious.
Big blockbuster movies do it all the time. I won't worry about it.
Was it Game of Thrones with a coffee cup left in the screen or something like that as well?
Well, Gladiator, you had a director in his jeans or something in the background, didn't you, in Gladiator?
Yeah.
You know.
Didn't one of them have a watch on when they put the sword in the air or something? They had like a fucking
wouldn't surprise me. Really would. I mean, I know when they did the remake of RoboCop, they made the mistake of showing the road signs on the freeway, and it's meant to be in Detroit, right? But they filmed it in Canada, and you can see that by the road sign. Yeah. Yeah, they screwed it up. So I won't worry about it, Alex.
No,
Yeah,
no, I don't
the
worry
best do
about
it.
it. And, you
You'll
know,
be fine.
I do leave mistakes in the videos because that's just me. That's my style, if you like. You know, everyone's got their own style of videos, haven't they? And you know, it makes you who you are. So I try and keep that. I try and keep it raw. It almost feel a little bit live kind of thing going on as well. You know, like I've just seen it for the first time, which I have. Normally, most of the time, you know, when I pick these cabs up or go and doing a game room tour, I say to them, I don't want to come in yet. I want to literally walk through that door with this camera and see it for the first time.
Yeah,
you know, so what you see, you know, with me walking in these places, is literally see it for the first time.
That guy that you went and picked up the cabs from, is it Birmingham? The guy that had the weird... Honestly, they're all like that in Birmingham. They were all a bit odd.
Is that the guy who had the dodgem in the front room? Because I watched that the other day and it was amazing. Like,
he was,
I just like his
a
bar
real character. He was a real character.
His bar upstairs, but he seemed like a really...
Every room was a themed room, you know, and the stuff that he'd accumulated. I mean, he didn't come across as a hoarder. There wasn't, you know, it was organised kind of chaos, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, there
was stuff everywhere, but you could tell he'd taken a lot of time in placing everything everywhere, all the signage. He'd taken it really did feel like, you know, when you walk into those antiques emporiums, you go from one room to the other, and everything's for sale. It just felt like that in there, you know.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Incredible. Those two machines that he had, he'd had for 10 years and never turned them on.
See, I couldn't do that. I'd have to switch them on just to see if they still worked.
Yeah. It was incredible. Unbelievable. But you know, it's people like him that saving these machines.
Did they work then, Alex? That's the big question.
We haven't tried the Blue Shark yet because, as you can see from the videos, the museum is a partnership. And Richard's sort of my partner in it, and he's the electronics guy. He's got the Hippy electronics company there. And he's just a whiz with electronics, and he likes to literally check everything before we turn it on, which is the right way to do it. I mean, normally I would turn it on myself.
Yeah, no natural smoke.
Yeah. But something that's been sitting there for 10 years, you have to check it first, you know. But yeah, if someone sold you on the basis of it being working, then I just turn them on, see if it works. But what was the other game I got out of it? Oh, the Mooncrest. Yeah, that works. We've turned that on. Although it's a weird cabinet. So
I like the cab though with that. I like the small cab.
Yeah, it looks like it's just come out of Minder, doesn't it? You could see Dennis Portman playing at a pub somewhere.
Or only Fools and Horses, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I want to bring into the arcade, because actually we've got a huge UK arcade history here, which I'm just starting to get into a little bit more. You know, we've got a lot of influences from America, Atari, Nintendo, Konami, from Japan and Taito. But what about the British scene? Well, you had loads of companies making cabinets. So I want to incorporate that into the museum as well, even though, you know, they're not the prettiest of machines. It's part of our history, you know?
Yeah.
It's because they had to fit in different places as well, didn't they, in the UK?
Yeah.
Because like the chip shop cabs, like my Video Masters, to some, that's an ugly thing. But to me, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that Mooncrester one that you said would fit in nicely in like a working man's club. You know what I mean? Like the one arcade that was like in there that every kid knew how to play. That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You know, it's so well built. It's quite a small cabinet, but it's really heavy. There's wood inside, wooden shelves, wooden slats, really thick wood. And it really surprised me how heavy it was, because normally it's Atari that are heavy. That's my new word for heavy, Atari. their cabs are just ridiculous. Yeah. And that little Mooncrest felt exactly the same weight as an Atari cab. Unbelievably built.
Right. Well, we've got a little video just showing some of your progress. I say some because you've released another video since then with some of the finishing touches, haven't you, Alex? But
but get over to Alex's channel to see that.
Yeah, you'll have to go over to that, because I've only got what he's done to a certain point. Alex has done a video or two since then, which will show you the rest of the development of it. But so let's get it ready to go. Right, see you on the other side of this.
I'm opening an arcade museum. I'm opening an arcade museum.
Very good. I should add before we say anything else. Luckily for me, Alex asked the guy that did the music here, which is 24/7, and the album is 0 Hour. You can download it on Bandcamp. I've actually bought it because the music's really good. If you like your synthwave, you should definitely get this album. And he's done others as well, Alex, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He's got 2 albums out. He's trying to work on another one, but he's got a busy life at the moment. But yeah, he's a good friend of mine. He's also the world champion at championship sprint.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
what
right.
played me yet? So
What?
And I've put the link in the description down below if anyone wants to go and check that out. Yeah, I personally really like his music, his style. I like it. This was definitely, when I heard this song, it was like, yeah, this is the one I need to use. So, yeah, good album. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Alex, I have to ask you a question though before we carry on. How much do you hate those walls in that arcade?
Oh, yeah, I was glad to see the back of them, mate. I really was. Yeah, in the beginning it was horrible because we had to get a lot of it off. We've got a featured wall there, so we wanted to try and get some of the natural Cotswold stone exposed. So I had to take a lot of that paint off, which was just a horrendous job to do on both sides. And then painting it all just took forever, you know, because you just literally stab in the wall. Yeah. You know, you couldn't just brush it.
You're glad to see the back of that then?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Many paintbrushes lost their lives to them walls.
Yeah. Richard came down with some bags. He said, I'll show you a little trick. You put the paintbrush in a bag and you seal it, and that way you don't have to clean it every night. And I thought, I have seen someone do that, but I'd forgotten all about that. It was a neat
I do that.
He saw me cleaning them every night.
It's the same with rollers as well. You can do the same with the roller. As long as you just slide the tray and the roller into the bag, that's it. It'll be fine the next day.
Yeah.
So talk us through, Alex, what you've done since that montage, if you like. What else have you done?
We've laid the floor. So we've laid 2 floors. We've got the small entrance room, which is what I want to be for my studio, where I'll be working on the cabinets and doing gameplays from and everything like that. We sort of experimented with a black resin floor, which I've seen on YouTube people using a lot now. And you can mix in colours with it. You can mix in UV paint. You can put black light on it, and it just looks amazing. But I mean, it's so expensive.
Yeah,
and
it looks amazing.
But when you got a floor that's slightly out of level, and we had like a ridge down the middle, you need to bring it up at least 5 to 10 mil, and that would just cost so much money to do. So it's still got the ridge through the middle, and it's not perfect. And to be honest with you, I'm not happy with it. So,
would you not have used some screed to like level all off first and then put
no, it was already screed. The floor was really like smooth already, you know. But we just wanted to try something a bit different because I quite like the idea of
the other stuff on top of the screed, like use the screed to level it off and then applied the stuff you put down.
You could do, but then you're raising the level where the threshold was already set anyway. You know.
I used to work for a company that used to lay all this sort of stuff called Stonehard, and they mix like a kind of, like you saying with the colours, you can put like a sand in, all different colours, and like you say, it does raise the floor. So
it looked like a nightmare of a job there.
It was a nightmare. The fumes coming off it were horrendous. I mean, went all the way up through the building. Wow. They actually left. Some of the work people up there just left the building because they just couldn't handle it. It was so strong, the smell. It didn't take long to put down. We literally just put it down with a roller. You mix it up, put it down with a roller, and then it looks like it's a strange stuff. It looks like a water surface. Yeah. Like you could literally jump into it because it's so reflective. But the trouble with that is it gets dirty quickly, and because that's the entrance room.
Yeah,
it's just getting dirty all the time, and the acoustics in that room are not great either. So I'm thinking now about putting this matting floor down, which we've put down in the main arcade area.
Yeah,
and it's amazing stuff. It's cheap, it's quick to put down, They use it in garages. It's really hard plastic, goes together like Lego.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Literally
I've got
put
it
it
in my
down.
gym.
And the amazing thing about it, if you put nylon leg levelers on all the cabinets, which I did one day, it took me a whole day, they literally just slide on this floor. It's
Nice.
amazing. You know,
Alex, you not thought about getting a bit of Lilo from Allied Carpet? Just a little bit of
well, we
fake
thought about
floor,
doing break
fake
dancing
decking.
in there. Some break dancing is going to be happening because it's 80s, right?
But
yes, we did the floor, done the painting, got aircon in there so it's nice and warm, or we can put cold air in there if it gets too hot. Last week I played around with some UV paint, so I've done my logo and put it on the shutters, and we're going to put a black light on it, so you'll have black lit UV paint on all the shutters. This is all the finishing touches now.
Yeah.
You know, all that kind of stuff.
Do we have a date for the opening?
I was just about to ask.
Sorry.
Not
not
an official date yet. We've got some dates, but we're still waiting on things like the website to be up and running, and the ticketing set up for you to buy tickets. It's all that kind of stuff. What insurance? Just waiting for that to come through, and then we'll have some dates.
Nice.
But it will be next month. What are we now? November? Are we? No, we're October.
October.
Yeah.
So you don't even know what month he's in. That's how busy you've been.
Yeah.
Are we still on to do Swap Shop live from the museum, Alex? Is that still all right?
What? Swap some cabs?
You don't own half of them.
I haven't bought a game for months. Console.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, I haven't. Honestly, I haven't had time. I've bought some PCBs. I've been playing a lot of. I've naturally been playing a lot of arcade games, and I've been testing out a few PCBs. So I've got that. But with the SNES collection, I'm done with that anyway. Now I've got every game that I want. Probably too many, to be honest with you. The odd Switch game I pick up. And I still plan to do pickup videos on my channel from here occasionally. Yeah. That's not going to go.
Alex, how's your missus with all this? Is she all good? Has she got her hand in? Is she giving a bit any help, anything?
Oh, she's 100% behind me. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have done it without her support. She's just amazing. Yeah. Good. Really good.
Well, I mean, let's not forget. I mean, this is something to, as you put it yourself, to get you off the trail, isn't it? Really?
I mean,
you know,
wanting to do something different. I've been on the trail since I left school in 87, 16. Been on building sites. I guess I could have carried on doing it, but obviously breaking my arm 2 years ago, they didn't do a great job in sort of stitching that together. It still all crunches when I pick stuff up. I can feel it crunching.
Damn, Sega.
Yeah.
If you got any Sega arcade,
this opportunity just come up, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. You know,
why
go
not?
for it. Something
You
different.
have to do these things, don't you? If you don't want to ever get to the end of your life and think, if only I done that, or if only I tried this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There and do these things.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, Scott, don't you? With you setting up the shop, I mean, it's a passion, isn't it? And it's nice to do something that you enjoy doing and sort of make a living out of it, because really that's what makes successful businesses. They're successful because they love doing what they're doing. You know, I don't enjoy doing bricklaying now. I'm just bored of it. I'd hire six. I used to have 6 bricklayers working for me years ago, and the hassle and the stress of finding their wages and dealing with it all, it's just, I didn't enjoy it, you know. So this is totally different. I enjoy going to work, and the days that Neil's had his Patreon days already, we've had people down there and just enjoyed chatting to people about games. You know, it's cool. It's really
Seems like
cool.
a good person to be working with as well, and that building looks amazing.
He's great. He's really supportive. I mean, he's really supportive. He's just a great guy. He's got a great sense of humour as well. Yeah, it's very professional. It's just good. It's good.
Well, the thing is, I know from watching your channel, Alex, I mean, you've got a lot of knowledge on this stuff. So, you know, why not do this for a living? You know, like at the end of the day, you're putting what you already know from your hobby into something that you can now do for a living. You know?
Yeah, and trying to do something a bit different, because obviously there's lots of really cool arcades up and down the country with Arcade Club and Boneyard. I think there's one. What's the other one? Time Warp. It's a really cool one. But I could see what Neil was doing, and it works for Neil. A lot of the people that come up to the cave are enthusiasts.
Yeah.
You don't get families coming in just dropping their kids off and then going shopping.
Yeah.
You know, it is purely infused, and that's what I'm trying to focus on, is getting those people in that have a real interest in and respect for the machines and what we're doing there. Yeah. You know, and all the people that I've seen come through the cave are just amazing. You know, they just absolutely love it. They're so into it. You know,
and of course the other thing is they come in to play the games and that, but they also leave where they've learnt something too.
Yeah, that's another thing. We're trying to leave descriptions on the cabinets. I mean, I'm learning all the time. There's stuff that I didn't know about a lot of these machines. You know, a lot of the games we've got in there are quite pioneering, so they've done something for a first.
Yeah.
So they're telling a story through sort of from Sega Gunfight.
Yeah,
it was a big inspiration for Taito to
Can't
make
wait to play that Gunfight
Western
game.
Gun. And then Midway wanted to have it, but they said the graphics were rubbish. And we've got this new microprocessor. We put that in there, make the graphics better, and then they made Midway Gunfight, and it looks slightly different.
Yeah,
same game, but the graphics are slightly improved because of the CPU. That's the first game with a CPU in it.
wow.
So you know, telling that story is a great start for a museum.
Yeah.
The problem I thought I was going to have in the beginning was, what am I going to put in here? Because really, you're governed on what games come up for sale. It's okay having all these games on a list of wants, but when do they come up for sale?
Yeah.
You know, luckily, the community's been amazing.
I was then going to say that. I was then going to say what's really come across in your videos, this whole project, is how much the community have pulled together, especially UK backers and all the guys into their arcades.
Yeah.
Have all pulled together to help you in this as well. And that's something really special, I think.
I mean, I've always tried to make something at UK, because I organise the UK VAC meets every year, and it's been various places over the years, Arcade Club and everything. But what I've noticed is people like to sit down, they like to chat, they like to look inside the cabinet, open it up, get the PCB out. You can't do that in the Arcade Club, public place. Here, you would be able to do that. You know, we're encouraging
and you'd have respect from the people around you as well, because if you opened it up at the arcade, you'd have somebody breaking something. So
hopefully we have sort of repair day where you can come down and learn how to repair a PCB. Hopefully we're going to have talks there like Neil does, all that kind of stuff. Photographs. I've just got in with a guy who's just brought out a book today, actually, Arcade Britannia. He's really knowledgeable, like gone into the whole UK scene, knows much more than I do about it all. Just want to get those sort of people involved, everyone involved. Anyone that makes a book, you can sell your book in the museum, you know. And the whole community
place, great.
If you want to do art, you do all the side art for, like Muddy Music does the artwork. We can advertise him on the channel, bring him into it. Rich, who does the music, going to sell his cassettes in there. All this kind of stuff. Make it a real community place where everyone feels it's their museum.
Yeah.
Well, I think that. Oh, we lost Alex.
Yeah.
Sorry, I disappeared there. My back.
I've got to back. I nearly swore then.
Well, you know the deal. If you swear, £100 donation. You know.
Doing it off my phone. That's my son calling me. I don't know if there's a way of turning that off. Is there?
They don't think calls
just
now.
Just press the red button, send him to voicemail.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's where we are with it.
Well, one thing I like especially that I saw was that you've got Double Dragon. Love Double Dragon. And, of course, because I'm a massive Star Wars fan, as you all know, and you've got Star Wars. So, I'm looking forward to getting a go on them two in particular. So
it's the most expensive cab in there, I think, one of them. Star Wars.
Star Wars that expensive, is it?
Yeah, we paid quite a bit for that. What was it? Wow. 3.8.
Wow, that's mental.
Yeah.
I suppose it's not
even a sit-down one.
It's not even a sit-down one. No.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not a game I I chose it because I know a lot of you guys like it. It's not one of my favourite games, but I know it's popular. It's got a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people, and people love it. So I'm picking games.
I think the controller on it is what makes that cab, though. The controller on it definitely is what makes it, because you can't really get that experience anywhere else, can you?
No, well, you can on the 1-Up cab now, can't you? Yeah, but no,
saying what you alluded to there about the price of Star Wars, arcade
in
general are so expensive, aren't they? So to accumulate and amass what you have, the sheer volume of money you've had to invest in this.
Yeah, wow. We'll put a lot of money into it, Scott. Yeah. Put a lot of money into it, but also a lot of cabs are on loan in there as well.
Yeah, which is great that people have loaned you their cabs out of their collections, because at the end of the day, it's great that these collectors are loaning you these cabs to let more people play these games. That's what makes it really special as well, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of collectors out there that have got way too much. We all have, haven't we? We've always got too many games. They can get in your way sometimes. It can be overwhelming, and you don't want to sell them. But okay, if I loan this out, it's going to be looked after. It's going to get repaired.
I was going to say, it's probably going to come back better than it was when it went out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it will do. It will do, because I'm going to restore all of them for videos. They make great videos, taking coin doors off, respraying them, doing the artwork, all of that. We're going to do.
Alex, can I ask you a question? Maybe a hard question. Is there one arcade you really want you haven't got, or is the arcade you really want you got in the museum now?
Yeah, there's a couple. Outrun. We still haven't got an Outrun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a big one.
I'd like.
Just go steal it from Scott's.
Yeah.
I've been offered a couple.
Outrun. It's not the original Outrun. Alex needs the original.
Yeah, we've been offered a couple, but they are expensive, and some of them I didn't think were worth the asking price, because they needed a lot of work.
Yeah.
The going rate for an Outrun is between $2,000 and $2.5 grand.
Sydney, Steve's got one, isn't he? Or am I wrong? Or no?
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
He has, isn't he? When I went to his house, I remember I saw that.
Well, Joe, the thing is, I mean, I suppose you don't need to get everything all at once anyway, do you? I mean, you could always get them later and switch them in, and
exactly, Lee. This is going to be, a constant evolving museum, and it will change. But as I said, literally, I've had 2 months to get these machines, and I've done pretty damn well, I think.
Amazing.
So you're saying it's going to be a constant evolving arcade. Is there any one game in that arcade now that you would not like to see leave? Is one that you'd always like to be there?
Oh, probably a good bunch of those, really. They're all... Well, on a permanent basis, it'd be nice to keep Sky Skipper in there because of the story behind it.
Yeah,
I've always said that Sky Skipper should end up in a museum because of the story.
Yeah, which is on your channel.
The Prototype Rescue is a good museum piece. It's a prototype. The Asteroids Deluxe with the Led Zeppelin backstory is quite nice to keep in there, I think.
That's an amazing story, that is.
Yeah. There's games that we want eventually, like Pong. We'd love it. I mean, the ideal one we'd love to have is Computer Space.
Oh, wow.
But good luck trying to find one of those. But I feel lucky that we've got a Pong in there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're really going back to Pong. Wow.
Yeah, but Pong was the first successful video game. But Computer Space was the first arcade game, but it wasn't very successful.
Yeah.
And it's that fiberglass.
I was about to say, is it the fiberglass one? I was trying to picture in my head what it was then, but
the fiberglass mold one.
Have you ever actually seen one in person yourself?
I have. Yeah, there was one at the Game On exhibition in Science Museum about 10 years ago.
Wow.
And I think that was owned by Archie McLean.
Oh wow.
And I do know a collector in the UK who's got one.
Yeah, definitely not many.
There can't be any arcades that have got a sheriff, though, Alex.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. I mean, Computer Space actually is not that rare in America. You can pick them up if you're willing to pay for it, But But yeah, Sheriff is rare. Rescue's rare. Rescue's a rare game. They're all quite rare in there. That Blue Shark, Midway Blue Shark.
Yeah, I'd like to play that one as well.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
I think with Sheriff, it's quite a desirable cab because it's Nintendo, and you've got a lot of collectors in America that have these Nintendo rows, and the game they're missing is Sheriff.
You just got it in your little arcade.
Yeah.
Alex, there's one other question I want to ask. Si asked me to ask for you, so I'll ask for him. Is there space for a Dance Revolution in there?
No chance whatsoever.
No one needs to say that.
No, because I'll tell you why. Because I've seen Si, he's got a few moves, and he wants to put them to the test against other tubers. So that's why.
Well, this is the great thing about what Neil's doing upstairs, Lee, because
has he got one?
You can experience stuff up there in the 90s and the 2000s. That's what he's got. That's the idea. Is you go down to the arcade, you experience the beginnings of all the video games, and then you move up to the cave, and you're shown the story evolving on the home consoles, home computers, and you've got all those 3D games upstairs.
Nice.
So, what's what year is the latest? Out of the ones that you've got, what's the year of the last, the newest cab?
Dedicated or Jammer. So I've got 4 Jammer cabs in there, so I can have games from the 90s that have the Jammer adapter, and I can stick those games in there in those cabinets.
Yeah.
But the dedicated, the classic 80s dedicated era really finishes around 88, 89.
Really?
I know Sega was still making these amazing cabinets. They were probably one of only a few companies, Namco and all that. But they mainly went into gun games and driving games and all that. But the classic dedicated era is that sort of late 70s into the 80s, where you've got all this beautiful side art. That all died out when Jammer came because it was easier for operators just to change the board out than change all the cabinet. So we still have 90s games in there, but they're being Jammer cabs.
Nice.
But the latest dedicated is probably that
Operation Wolf, isn't it? Because that was 87.
Yeah, and the Silkworm.
Right, yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot you had Silkworm. I'm looking forward to playing that one.
That's really cool. I've never played that before.
Yeah,
super cool game.
I played it a lot on micros, but I've never ever seen it in the arcade before.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in the arcade. I don't think there's actually a bad port of that game. Even the
Was it
Spectrum port is
I'm sure I remember playing it at Blackpool.
Silkworm, no, I don't. Unless it was on a console or something.
You might have played it on a Jammer cab, but I mean that is a proper
maybe
conversion kit for a Williams cabinet. Really rare. It's got unique joysticks as well with buttons on top. It's really cool.
Yeah, it looked it.
So I noticed on your last video that Mark Fix's stuff asked you a question, and that was, have you got a Pac-Man?
No, I haven't got one because it's my least favourite game.
You've got to get a Pac-Man, Alex. You've got to get a Pac-Man.
Do you know what? I think the only thing missing from that I've seen is that, you used to have the Pac-Man. Is it the cocktail ones with the glass top? Yeah. I used to love them. I really did. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I would love to see in there.
Yeah, I do need a Pac-Man. Although I've got a Miss Pac-Man, and I can put that in a Jammer cab for now. Yeah. Yeah, I just missed out on sort of a Namco anniversary cab, and it's half of it's Pac-Man side art, and the other half is Gallagher side art. I would have loved to have got that in there, but it went sold too quickly.
Well, you never know. It might come round again.
Yeah, Pac-Mans are not that hard to find, I don't think.
Get an arcade one up, Alex. You're laughing. Argos have got them.
Well, funnily enough...
No, seriously, Argos have got them. It's
funny you say that. Rock and Roller did ask, have you got any one-up cabs? I know the answer.
Yeah, that was my question as well.
Yeah.
No.
There's a horrible rumour going around. You've got a full set, Alex. And I'm telling them it's not true. No, I've told them it's not true, but there's a horrible rumour going around.
Listen, I've got nothing against people having them. I mean, look at the prices of cabinets now. They're so expensive. No one can afford all that stuff. But
I just think build quality.
It's just the way they're put together. They're really badly made.
Yeah.
And I've heard loads of problems about them. And for a lot of the games, not all of them, but there's a couple that I totally get why people have bought them. The Star Wars one with the yoke.
Yeah.
And there's another one, I can't remember which one it is. I totally get that because, again, who's going to pay near £4,000 for a Star Wars upright when you can have this little cabinet for 400 quid with the yoke? Feels just exactly the same. I know it's not Vector, but still looks cool. But, I mean, I don't see the point in buying a Space Invaders one when you can play Space Invaders on anything. You know, you don't need a dedicated cabinet for that because, you know, the dedicated Space Invaders has got the half mirror and the Pepper's Ghost effect. You know, you just can't emulate that. So why try and do it in this silly little one-up cab? Just play it any other way you can, you know. But don't buy one. It's a waste of money.
It's funny because that's kind of set us up to get onto questions because, like Si said,
that was mine.
It's kind of related to yours, isn't it? So I think what we'll do is we'll move into questions.
Okay.
Unless there's anything else you want to add, Alex. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, mate.
No, you're good.
No? Right, okay. So, first question. And I've got to put him on. I was tempted to remove him then. Right. Your question, Lee.
This is to all of you guys, really. What was the first arcade you played? And what's the last one you played? My first arcade, I think I've mentioned it before on another stream, was Shinobi. Played it at where my nan used to live in Holloway Road back in North London, Islington. I played it with my brother in a little sweet shop. And the last arcade game I played was in Torquay when I went this summer to Torquay. Was Mario Kart, the 2-player one I played with my daughter. That's the last arcade game I've actually played. So, yeah, that is my question, guys.
Right, I think what we'll do, because normally we go through the questions and then we go back round and then we all answer, don't we? I think because obviously we're going to be limited on time, I think we'll carry on with the next person giving their answer. Just change it up a little bit. So, Scott, if you want to answer this one.
If my memory serves me right, the first arcade game I ever played was Space Invaders, but I was scared of it at the same time. I can remember. I know you're going to laugh, but I can remember seeing that cab. I was very little, and that sort of like monster on the side of the. And you've got to remember back then, not many of us had played video games or seen anything like it, and I could hear the sounds. This big towering creature on the side of the cab. And I remember being really quite scared and, you know, nervous playing it. But Space Invaders has got to be the first game I played. And the last game I played.
Yeah. Is that one right
behind? About an hour or so ago.
I was going to say, was that today?
Yeah, mine's going to be sitting here behind me.
Well, Alex's is going to be interesting because, I mean, your last one you played could be any one of them ones that's in the museum.
Exactly.
So, right, Alex, same question to you.
Similar to Scott's, really. I mean, Space Invaders made such a big impression on me as a kid. That's the first game I actually was, you know, wowed by and just thought, well, this is it, man. My life's changed. This is just so cool. But there were other games I remember before then when I was a little bit younger, you know, the electromechanical games. I remember playing Atari Night Driver, which was basically a driving game with the dots. It was on the Atari 2600.
Yeah. It doesn't look much different, does it, on the 2600 than the arcade?
And the arcade game, you literally just got a plastic stick with a car sitting on it. And that's it, you're driving that. Yeah. I remember playing that way before Space Invaders. But yeah, for me, everything starts with Space Invaders. You know, changed everything. And the last game, I think it was, well, I was testing some out tonight, but I actually played Battlezone yesterday because we'd got that in the museum. Oh, nice. So I was having a little play on that, on the little cabaret version. And nice. I've got a Battlezone. This is really cool, guys. I've got a Battlezone 2 kit, so you can plug that in. And I don't know if you've ever did you know there was a Battlezone 2?
I was going to say I've never played
Yeah, so it's like a homebrew game that someone's put onto this board that you can plug into the cabinet.
Oh, amazing!
And it's got upgrades. You've got guided missiles. You've got shields. You can actually jump. I mean, it's just really, really cool. So I'm hoping to get that in the cabinet tomorrow and hopefully do a video on that. Because I've never played it before.
Didn't you own the Battlezone MIDI years ago?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got this one for the museum, really.
Yeah.
Nice. There's some history behind that as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
There is indeed. Yeah.
Nice. Right. Same question to you, Paul.
So for me, it was pretty difficult to think of, and then there was a blatantly obvious answer because when I was a kid, like I didn't get much money to put in arcades. Do you know what I mean? So like I very rarely played them. If there was one arcade that I know that I used to go on and on and on about, I can only assume that the first one I ever played was Operation Wolf. Just because I just remember the gun, like, and it just looked different to any other arcade game I played or that I'd seen. And that one, like, I've got the most nostalgia for that. I think that was first, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But that one would have been the one that I'd really went on about to my parents. And the last one was RoboCop that I played in Blackpool. I really love the arcade version of RoboCop. It's the best one. I know the Spectrum one's good before Scott gets in there. I do really love the arcade version. So yeah, just like when everyone had left Blackpool and I was the last person left, I went round all the micros and tried to play as many as I could. I went around all the consoles, and then I started on the arcades, like where there wasn't people. I was just jumping on. And the last one before my tram ticket was going to run out, I played was RoboCop. So
Nice.
yeah.
Was that a dedicated cabinet, Paul? Or was that?
No, it was. Is it the Jammer cab? Like, you know, where it's like a standard sort of black and red sort of looking one.
The dedicated RoboCop is fantastic because it's got like a curve.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think I've seen one once.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the last one.
Data East based that RoboCop arcade game on the Spectrum.
No, here we go.
They did. Honestly, they were so impressed with that. Based on.
Well, they didn't base it on the Commodore 64 version because you must.
No, definitely not.
Because it didn't even get past. Well, it didn't even code past level 4. I don't think there was a level 5.
You can't get past it, can you?
No. Well, you can now. I think 2013 or 2014, somewhere around about there, they brought out they actually corrected the code so that you can play that level now. But Paul will know better.
He's saying that is the real one.
Was it dedicated? Was it? I can't remember. I just remember that was the last game.
There was a few games that come out with that curved sort of marquee, wasn't there, Alex? Like, weren't Bad Dudes?
Yeah.
In that
Data East, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's a couple like that. They look quite cool, actually. I like it. I like the RoboCop one. It looks cool.
That's such a good game, though. Do you remember when you used to walk into the arcades, all you could hear was RoboCop above everything else?
Yeah.
So loud, like when you walked in.
Great. Isn't it? Over the years, when you walked into an arcade, originally it was Space Invaders. Then, there's certain games you remember when you walked into your...
The later ones would be Daytona.
Daytona.
You could not go into an arcade without hearing it.
That's all you could hear was Daytona.
Yeah.
Rolling Stone.
Turtles and Simpsons were another couple of ones that you heard everywhere, or no, weren't they, when you walked into an arcade? Yeah. Yeah, definitely got good memories of RoboCop.
You remember Supersonic Blast Man, where you had to punch the
pad?
I don't know if is it classed as an arcade?
But didn't that get banned though because people kept hurting their fists on it?
Yeah, because the in the middle is where you're meant to hit, and around the outside is like a metal plate. So there wasn't much padding in them, and a lot of people, were breaking their hands and their knuckles on them. Yeah.
I don't remember one in the arcade. I got it on the Super Nintendo. I didn't realise.
I'm sure it was on Games Master as well. So they had they had Mike Tyson. Who did they have? No, Frank Bruno.
Yeah. They had that on the pier at Felixstowe. And all the young sort of teenage boys were there, trying.
Exactly what it used to be like.
Do you remember the old machines where you had the punch bag come down and you used to hit it, right?
Yeah, I've still got them everywhere now.
Yeah.
Well, when I lived in Gravesend at the bowling alley, they had one, right? And I remember watching a guy Randas kick one of them. It was pretty impressive. I've got to be honest. You know?
It's funnier when they miss though and land on their face.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I suppose. But yeah, I saw a guy do that, and I was like, "Wow, that's pretty impressive." You know, so right. Same question, Sire.
There's probably earlier ones that I have played, but the one that still sticks in my head now was a holiday camp in Mablethorpe, and they had like the little dance hall bit and the bar, and there was like a little tiny room that went off to the side with like must have had 5 or 6 different arcade cabs in it. And the one that we remember playing was track and field because somebody had opened up the cabinet, so the same 10p people were putting in and grabbing at the bottom and using it as the credits. So everyone at this holiday camp was doing high scores on track and field, even to the point that people were buying those little eggs that you get at the machines, put it over the knuckle so they can do the buttons quicker.
Yeah.
So this is one that always sticks in my head. The weird thing is, I've got a mate of mine who I didn't know, but also went to the same holiday camp, and he started talking about that arcade cabinet. I went, yeah, I remember that one. So we've got the same memory of the same arcade machine.
I can't believe you just mentioned them eggs. That was a chicken.
The egg.
Rotate round and give you an egg, didn't it?
Yeah.
I can remember that. We used to get that just to play track and field.
Yeah, exactly. And you can just go across the buttons really quick. And the newest one, last one, was Juno First, which we did at our meet because I had to turn it on before we came on the stream. Great game, great memories.
Such a cool game, that.
That is really cool.
Well, funny enough, I mean, that's part of my answer. I mean, the first game I played was Double Dragon. I remember walking into Montague's in Gravesend, and it was the first game I went on 10p ago as well. So, you know, you're going back when it's 10p. I think I was, probably about 9, maybe 10 when I played that. Yeah, loved it. I mean, I got that good at it. I remember I used to be able to get quite some way into it with just 1 credit at one stage. I doubt I'd be that good now, but, you know, I got quite good at it. There was a little story behind it because what I used to do was I'd get bus fare off my mum, then walk into town with my friends and then spend the bus fare in the arcade on Double Dragon. So, so Double Dragon was the first, and I'm happy to say that Alex has got one of them, which I'm looking forward to playing. And the other one is, like Cy just said, Juno First, which we all played at Scott's on his cab. So, yeah, and since then, I mean, you could say I've played it again since then because I've got a Pandora box. So I've played it with my 2 boys in the front room. So you could say we've all played that now in here, except me missus. So, yeah, good game. I don't know how that one passed me by. I really don't.
Yeah, it's cool.
But, yeah, it's a class game.
Yeah, I showed you the game, and then you all continued to beat me on it, and every single one. I kept coming back to that and going, I've showed them this game, and I can't get past level 2. And you guys
Martin put us all to shame,
the score. The thing is, though, since coming back here, I have practiced, and I can kick your ass now on this. So.
Yeah, Martin definitely put us to shame on that one, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was good at that, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. Right, okay. Let's turn this one off and then go into our next question, which is Scott's. Let's put him on big screen. And Scott's question is...
Yeah, what home video game would you like to see as an arcade game or make a great arcade game? Ooh. And for me, I've always said that Hero by Activision would have been an amazing arcade game. Yeah, I just want to know what you guys would think. You know, a game that you played on your micros or whatever back in the day would make a great arcade machine.
See, I think Hero would be good, but you need to make it a bit bigger, though. You know what I mean? I think with Hero, if you played it in the arcade, once you memorised it, it wouldn't have much replay value, would it?
It would have to be harder, wouldn't it? You know,
yeah, that's what I mean.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a good choice. I think you could make the mazes a bit bigger, maybe, you know. But other than that, yeah, it's like most of those games are memory games to begin with anyway, aren't they? You know, R-Type's a memory game. Once you get through it, you know where everything is. It just repeats itself every time. But yeah, that's a fantastic choice. Hero. I used to love playing that back in the day.
I remember when I played that back in the day, I was convinced it was an arcade game.
Yeah.
It's so much like an arcade game. Then when I realised it was never an arcade port, I was just amazed. that it wasn't.
Yeah. That's a really hard game to get
as
well now, isn't it? Expensive one to get.
It's a hard game to get if you want the picture carton boxed, but there's like 4 different variations of it.
Right.
So,
Okay.
It's genuinely expensive on every system.
Yeah.
Apart from the micros, you can pick it up relatively cheap. But if you want the cartridge-based game, I've paid a lot of money for my Coleco one.
The Atari 8-bit one I saw cart only sell not long ago for £200. Just the cartridge.
Right, Alex.
So what was it?
Oh God.
My question was, I have to go and find it.
No.
You're answering Scott's. Yeah. You're answering Scott's
I'm answering Scott's, aren't I? Of course I am. Sorry, I was miles away.
It's old age.
I think Chucky Egg would have made a fantastic arcade game.
Absolutely.
Because it's a take on Donkey Kong, but it takes it. The mechanics of it really are completely different. When you play Donkey Kong and then go and play Chucky Egg, it feels so much more fluid. It's quicker. You can bounce off ladders. You can jump on the ladders halfway through full, and it's just amazing the way you can sort of slide down the ladder, and then there's a gap between the 2 ladders, and slide onto the next bit. You've got the levels, the elevators like you've got in Donkey Kong, and you've got the big bird at the end.
Yeah, it starts chasing you,
but that just starts chasing you around. So many levels. So many sort of different ways of playing it, because a lot of people leave the seeds. I always pick all the seeds up.
So I always pick the seeds up.
I always pick the seeds up, but some people leave them because obviously the birds are distracted by them. What is that noise?
I don't know. I was trying to figure.
The birds are distracted by them, aren't they? By the seeds.
Yes, so you can use them to stop, and so you can go around. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think Jim Bagley was thinking of putting it on Pac-Man hardware at one stage years ago. Yeah, and have it running in a cabinet, because even he thought it's exactly the same as me. It would have made an excellent arcade game.
It still could do. To be honest, I think if they did it now, it would work. They'd have to kind of keep it as the same kind of graphics though. Because have you ever tried to play the Amiga Chucky Egg? It's just wrong. Something. It's when it goes to the 16-bit, it just loses something completely.
Yeah. I think it's got a nice fluid speed about it. It just flows well.
Yeah.
It's a quick arcade game.
Your home port of Chucky Egg, though, Alex, which is your favourite port?
I'm going to say the Spectrum, but I know the BBC is slightly.
Thought you'd have said BBC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it on the Acorn. It's pretty good on that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I mean, I played both back in the day on both systems, the Micro and the Spectrum. So I've got fond memories playing on both of them. But yeah, Chucky Egg is better on the BBC Micro, without a doubt.
Right, Paul, same question.
Well, originally I didn't realise we were setting a date, so my original answer was quite like a fairly modern game, and that would have been Wipeout. I think that would have been a great arcade racer. But going further back in time, I would have liked to have seen like Turrican at the arcades. Thought that would have been a good game. I really enjoyed it.
The thing is, I swear I've seen Turrican in the arcade, but it just must be in my mind that I thought it was in the arcade.
It's just so much like an arcade, maybe.
Yeah.
But,
it is, yeah.
Turrican would be my choice. 8-bit, I'm really struggling, to be honest, because a lot of the games I play, like, the football management, even back then, like, stuff like that wouldn't have really worked on arcades.
I don't think a football management game in the arcade would get much money.
Well, saying that, we had Turrican on the Commodore 64, so on the 8-bit, so I'll stick with Turrican.
Yeah, it's a fair answer. Si.
Well, I was going to go a bit off piece and say something like Frack, but I can't because it has to be Jetpack. How was Jetpack never an arcade game?
Perfect, yeah.
You know what I mean? It is an absolute perfect arcade game, especially if you look what Jim Bagley's done with Baggers in Space, where you could kind of expand on it if you wanted to, or make it more difficult as you go along. But it's just a perfect game. It really is. I love Jetpack, and I come back to it again and again and again.
Yeah. I agree with that, mate. It almost feels like it could be an Atari game. That
Yeah, you know what I mean? But it works. I mean, I've played Jetpack on the ZX81. I've played it on the Spectrum. I've played it on later systems. And it's still just a fluid, fun game to pick up and play.
Yeah.
And I think in the arcade, it would probably steal quite a bit of money.
Mm.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my choice.
I guess my answer to this one would be IK Plus. I'd love to see that, like free sticks, you know. So you and two of your mates fighting each other. Yeah, I think that would be
imagine the arguments with that, though? It'd be great.
Yeah, but it'd be good, though, wouldn't it? Like,
yeah.
If
I mean,
you
that just woke Martin up.
If you played Karate Champ, Lee, in the arcade.
I think so, a long time ago.
Was
that the one where it was just buttons? You didn't have the stick?
No, you got 2 sticks.
Oh, you have got sticks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, might not be the one I played.
I think it was one of the first versus fighting games in the arcade was Karate Champ, and it had sticks.
Yeah.
It almost played exactly like the game you're describing.
Is that the one where when you score a point, the crowd cheers?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I have played it then. Yeah, I know which one you mean. Yeah.
Quite similar.
Yeah. I think YK Plus it's just so different because it's free player. It would add a whole new dynamic.
Did that come after Way of the Exploding Fist? Or before?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was after, wasn't it? I think
because
it was
you had
after.
International Karate and then International Karate Plus.
Karate Plus.
And then you had one called Karate Plus as well, I think.
Did you have Karate Triple Plus too?
I do remember you had International Karate and then, like you say, IK Plus. So yeah,
that was an Archie McLean game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, IK Pluses. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the little when you get the little Pac-Man moving along in the background and then the periscope comes out, looks around, and
well, talking about Archie McLean, Drop Zone would have been. I know it's a take on Defender, and in fact, I think he actually did make a Drop Zone arcade, his own one, because he created the game, and I think people that went round and saw his collection saw that he'd made this Drop Zone arcade machine, which would have been awesome if they brought that out in the arcade. Because I love Defender, and it's just another take on it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Nice. Right.
Have you seen OSG's comment there about the IK
There's
Plus?
loads of great comments with suggestions for arcade games. I was just reading through
them. Date release, Epics to call over Karate Champ and International Karate being so similar. Yeah. Fist Pluses, but yeah.
That was to answer my question when I said Karate Plus. It was actually Fist Plus. That was the one.
So, Eddie Sneaker Freak said Manic Miner.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cybernoid and Pixel Plus.
Cybernoid. Yeah, that would have made a good arcade game as well. Yeah.
Spin Dizzy's quite similar to Marble Madness.
Yeah. I must admit, playing Marble Madness with a proper arcade, it's so much easier than playing it with the controller pad. So.
Oh, Switchblade. I mean, that was an Amstrad game, wasn't it? Switchblade.
I don't know how that would make a good arcade game, though.
I don't know. I was just wondering that. I mean,
it was a great game, though, Switchblade.
Yeah, it's a good game. Just I can't see it being an arcade.
Oh, hang on, I've got another one here. Sensible Soccer Arcades. Yeah.
If you were doing Sensible Soccer Arcade, it'd have to be one of those arcade cabs with a seat that you can sit down. You know what I mean? Like a bench that you can play like a full match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Lee.
Well, my two, my 8-bit one would be Guns and Ghosts, which is a new homebrew. I think that'd be a pretty cool arcade game.
Still not played that game yet.
Great risk and reward in that game.
It's made for an arcade, isn't it?
It's a good game. I know it's a new one.
What's it out on? What are you playing it on, Lee?
That's on the Commodore,
mate.
Yeah. Oh.
It's a homebrew.
It's a homebrew because obviously
he lost you at C64. Then you know.
Yeah, I'm not into the older stuff as in the older games at the minute. I'm obviously going to start getting into it, but I think that game's really cool. And then my newer game that I was thinking of, because it's such an iconic bike game, is Road Rash. I'd love to have Road Rash in an arcade because it's on the bike, and
Yeah, I was going to say, would you actually have to punch?
It'd be really cool. Because you had Super Hang On, so you already had you had the marquee for it. You just had to repaint the marquee and just jazz it up a little bit, innit? You had the marquee, and obviously they had like the PlayStation /3DO version was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
just you could put a couple of buttons on the throttle, couldn't you, for punch and kick?
Yeah. That's all you need, really.
That'd work. Yeah.
Best thing about that game was stealing the truncheon off the policeman and hit him over the head with it. Beating him up.
To me, it's if you break it down, it's just like you're playing Super Hang On. Really, within
the
reason.
Mega Drive version is the best, though, isn't it?
Oh, it is good,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to lie to you, Alex. I've got one here because I did a video earlier. The Sega Saturn version
Yeah.
and the PlayStation 1 version, I think they're the same. Is awesome.
Yeah,
And that's like you're playing an arcade.
I was playing the 3DO version in the cave
Nice.
a couple of weeks. I'd never played on the 3DO version.
Nice.
I heard Road Rash was supposed to be good, but I wasn't that impressed by it.
Oh,
Is that it's similar to the Saturn
I'm
version?
sure it's the same game.
Yeah,
Alex.
same
Is it?
one.
It's
Yeah.
like digitized
Yeah,
real people, isn't it? Like Mortal Kombat.
yeah.
Where they did it, didn't they? But
Yeah.
I just think it'd be such a good arcade game because I
It'd be a
think
fun arcade game, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Having the
Yeah.
combat and the driving as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with
I
that.
think it would have made serious money back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Mm.
Who was on an arcade machine.
Do you know what always surprised me? Sorry, just a quick one. Was Sega were very heavy into arcades in the 80s. And the night, and still now with to respect, but the 80s there was loads of games. But some of the real big hitting home games, like Streets of Rage, can you imagine that in the arcade as well? That's another one that would have made
Yeah.
Golden Axe. Golden Axe was in the arcade, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why was
look
the
at-
Streets of Rage? You know,
Because
like,
Streets of Rage, Sega made Streets of Rage because Capcom wouldn't let them, or Nintendo wouldn't let Capcom put Final Fight on the Mega Drive. So Sega
there you go.
bought our own.
But that would have been great arcade game because that would have made them loads of money as well.
Mm.
Well, I like OSG's answer down here. Devil's Temple would make a great arcade game.
I don't know
I
that
mean-
one, boys. What is it?
It's a new one. It literally came out like
Yeah.
a couple of days
Friday.
ago.
Oh, is it the Bruce Lee one?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kinda look- yeah.
Just put a video out on it and it looks stunning.
Yeah, it does.
I
Yeah.
still can't believe what that guy did there with that game.
Yeah.
Alex, you would like this one. This game kind of looks like a
Like
spiritual
Kung Fu Master.
sequel to Kung Fu Master.
What's it
Vigilante,
called?
even.
Devil's Temple.
And what's it on the Switch?
It's on
No,
the
it's
Amiga.
Uh,
But honestly, it plays like a true sequel to
Does it?
Kung Fu Master.
I love
Yeah.
Kung Fu Master. It was such a
Yeah.
great game when it came out. Still love
Oh.
playing it.
I've
Love
got to
it.
be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up on the Switch. I mean, a lot of these sort of
Yeah.
games do, don't they?
I hope it does.
Can probably get the Devil's one on the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
Devil's Temple. Yeah.
Mm.
Just looking at some of the comments.
Kung Fu Master on the NES is a good port.
Yes, that is good on the NES. Well, I've got the Famicom.
Yeah,
Spartan X in it,
yeah.
which is awesome. There's actually a Big Trouble in Little China homebrew, and it's based on Kung Fu Master for the NES.
All right.
It's exactly the same, but obviously with Jack Burton as the Kung Fu Master. I've only seen pictures of it. I'd love to get it.
Mm. Yeah, Rending Ranger would have been a good one.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll just turn that
That's,
off.
Loads.
that's that Super Nintendo game you always tell me to play, isn't it?
Well,
Right.
Strictly Limited, you can buy it from Strictly Limited now.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's it's well worth getting from there because the original's so expensive.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic game, without a doubt. When it goes into the horizontal shooting section, it's just like, well, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
It's fast. For a Super Nintendo, normally associate shooters to have the slowdown, but there's none of that in Rendering Ranger. It's just full on. Really cool game.
Hmm. Right. Alex, your question. I know I'm kind of rushing through this, but I'm looking at the time. I know. Oh, actually, Lee, you haven't got work tomorrow, have you?
I haven't, mate. I've just got to pick up my daughter from a Halloween party, which is
Is
interesting.
that Ghouls and Ghosts behind you there? Now I can see it in bigger.
Whoa!
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Very
And
nice.
the 2-note first.
Well,
There's nothing there. Nothing to see.
actually, that Ghosts and Goblins. Oh no, sorry. The Ghouls and Ghosts is going to Dave Ashton.
Oh,
He was looking for a little jammer cab, and I on my travels I found that. I thought that'd be ideal for him
The Juno first.
because he hasn't got a lot of room with his pinballs. So
I was going to say it's good to hear that he's getting another arcade
yes,
cab in his collection.
well, that's me telling him he has to.
Has he still got pole position, Alex?
Sorry.
Has he still got pole position?
Yeah, he's still got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves that one and his pinballs. Yeah, I love Dave. He's awesome guy, and I really wanted him to get a jammer cab, and this is in amazing condition, the perfect size for his room. So
Yeah.
anyway, what was the question? What arcade game has your favourite intuitive controls? Now, do I answer this myself?
You answer it first, mate. Yep.
It's a really difficult one. It's a really difficult one because so many in the beginning had so many amazing controls. I mean, my favourite game, Robotron, the twin sticks, started that whole thing. It just feels right. You walk one way, you can fire behind you as you're walking the other way. You can't do that any other way. But with twin stick controllers, it just works perfectly. It really does. And then I was toyed between sort of Defender. The button layout on that Williams Defender is perfect. I know it's a hard game, but the button layout just feels just so right. And there's just so many others, man. There's just so many others. I like Lunar Lander with the thrust controller. Have you ever played Lunar Lander?
That's cool. Yeah.
I mean, that feels perfect. You can actually feel the thrust. You really do feel like you're trying to land, a lunar module. It just feels so cool. But I'm going to have to go with Robotron because I just think those controls are just perfect. They're so intuitive, just feels so right. And it paved the way for games as well. So, yeah, for me, Robotron.
Nice. Paul?
Well, my answer is quite similar for the same kind of reasons. For me, it's Smash TV, or is it Super Smash TV on the arcade?
Yeah.
And when you're playing that for the same reasons that you can be running one way away while you're firing. But I think when you really realise how perfect those controls are is when you play the home console versions. And because you haven't got the twin stick, for me, the SNES comes the closest because of the button layout. But because it's just not the same at home without the twin controls. And I think that's what really makes that one stand out for me. But yes, I love Smash TV. I like the comedy in the game as well. And like some of the stuff you win, like a 4-slice toaster. Do you know what? It's just, I just think it's fantastic.
Oh, it's
really,
really,
really cool game.
enjoy this game as well, isn't it? So, yeah.
Love that game.
Brilliant.
Sire.
Well, for me, again, it goes back to the whole. I used to play this game on home consoles, and I thought it was good until I played it in the arcade with how it's supposed to be played, and that's Tempest. Because Tempest with that dial, when you try and play it on a normal pad and everything, it just, even if you play analog with a PlayStation, it doesn't feel the same as when you turn that dial around. It's so immediate and where you need it to be, and it completely changes up what the game is, in my opinion. And let's not mention, it's a great game with great artwork and everything else, but that controller on that, to me, is just one of my favourites. It blew my mind when I played it, so yeah, that's my choice.
Mate, I've got a Tempest in this room.
That's just showing off there, that is.
It's one of my favourite games of all time. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is, though. The odd thing is, because I didn't play it until I played home arcades, and I really thought that is what Tempest was. And then I played it in the arcade, it's like, no, this is Tempest. The rest are a cheap imitation.
Yeah, it can only be played with a spinner. I mean, I don't know if you've played Tempest 4000. I mean, it looks amazing and everything, but you need a spinner. Just playing with the analog
didn't the
sticks
Atari Jaguar, somebody modded the pad, didn't they, to put a spinner on that?
You can get a spinner for that.
Still not right, though, but there's something to do with the weight of it as well. When you spin it, it's very different as well.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah.
Just looking at some of these comments here, Midnight Resistance had a great control system too.
It
That
did.
had the rope, yeah, because you had to turn the.
The rotary sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you turned the actual sticks, didn't you?
Akari Warriors was the same.
I mean, Matt's put here Xeno Crisis as well. Very similar to Smash TV, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Xeno Crisis is rock hard.
It's good though, isn't it? It's good.
Crazy.
It is hard.
I've got it on the Neo Geo, and it's just impossible. I can't get past the first level. It's just crazy. Too hard.
Yeah. I hate to bring it up, but I play it on the Evercade, and but it's a good game. But yeah, it's difficult. But I do enjoy playing it. Enjoy getting beaten all the time by the computer. But there you go. So right, in terms of intuitive controls, I suppose I've got to go with the style of games I like the most, and that's one-on-one fighters. I like the layout from Street Fighter 2. And obviously it was a good layout because it went on that all fighters were pretty much like that, weren't they, afterwards?
It was the first game to have the 6 buttons, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think really it makes sense that was intuitive because everybody copied it afterwards. So
yeah, well, totally agree, mate. Brilliant. Yeah, I thought you was going to go with Star Wars, eh?
No. I like my fighters. I do like Street Fighter. I mean, I like a lot of the other ones like Soul Calibur and all that lot as well. Obviously, you had Soul Edge. That was another game I enjoyed on the arcade, which became Soul Blade when it came out on the PS1. I think that was because of licensing. They changed the name. But yeah, I love all them sort of games. So yeah, that's what it's got to be for me. Street Fighter 2, 6-button layout.
Well, we already know what Lee's is going to be because he's already said earlier he loves his dancing games. So
the dancing mat.
I've actually got 2, which I think are awesome. First one is Silent Scope, because the idea that you look through the scope, I just thought, like that was so cool.
That was amazing. I've got an opportunity possibly to buy that cab.
Oh wow!
I'm thinking, do I buy it? Because the fact that you've got that little screen in the scope, it was just amazing. That blew my mind. That game.
Yeah, there was a Silent Scope 2 for sale up here for months on Facebook. I don't know if it's still available or not. But I've just got nowhere to put something like that. So
the other one that I've only seen once in a Sega World when it was in Wood Green back in the day was Sega Bass Fishing, and you had the rod.
God. You take both.
He's nicking all the Scots.
Sorry, Scott.
Now I've got to think, can I?
I'm so sorry, mate. Yeah,
just pick a Nintendo one, Scott.
I was just wow, that's pretty cool, man. So, and I
Well,
think
Scott,
half a boat as well.
Do you know what
Scott's thinking?
I thought, he said one of mine. He ain't going to say Sega Bass Fishing.
Sorry.
And there's a second one. You give him 2, look, and he takes both of them.
Sorry, mate.
The best part is it was only meant to be 1.
Yeah.
Greedy.
I would probably go with the game that impressed me the most. And again, it's nostalgia. Going right the way back. And it was the first game I ever played like this was Paperboy.
Yeah.
You had a paper round and you could play Paperboy with the handlebars.
Yeah.
I'd probably go with that for nostalgia and because Lee nicked mine.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I'll go with Paperboy.
But what was your reasons though for picking those, Scott? Because they've got to be different reasons than Lee's.
Well, with Sega Bass Fishing, I just thought that was such a only Sega could make that game work.
Yeah.
You know, a fishing arcade game.
Yeah.
That game, if you played it, it was an amazing game. It was a great game in the arcades.
Did Sega do Prop Cycle? Was that someone else?
Oh, do you know what? I was just thinking that one as well. I'm not sure who did
Sega,
that.
Wasn't it? I don't know if it was Sega that done the game, but I think they done the cab.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one, that one.
Yeah.
So,
but Silent Scope would have been just solely because I'd never heard of the game. I can remember going to Great Yarmouth, and Great Yarmouth was a great place back then to have the most expensive arcade machines. So whatever you knew out, if you headed to Yarmouth, that was going to be there. And I can remember seeing all these people crowding around this silent scope game. And I just thought, well, it's just a gun game. And it weren't until I got to go on it and I put my eye to that site and just see that that was its own little monitor. I was blown away by that.
Yeah, I thought you'd have chosen something else, but yeah.
Well, probably, the old games, it would be Paperboy or Space Harrier.
Space Harrier, that's the one I was
moves
good
around.
Yeah,
cool.
Space Harrier as well. That mesmerised me as a kid. That game,
especially the hydraulic one, it was amazing.
Yes, that moving one was amazing. And then just shortly after, then I see Outrun, and I was just like blown away. That was when my love for Sega began, because it was definitely those two arcade machines that made me think, wow, Sega is amazing.
Here's one for you, Scott. What about Afterburner? You know, the one that made you feel sick when you got out of it?
Yeah. Is that the one that you used to get inside and used to spin all the way around? And stuff?
Never been on it.
I've seen one, never been in one.
Don't. I remember getting in one and I got out of it halfway through. I felt really sick. Seriously. And I don't normally get motion sickness, but I did playing that. Oh, yeah.
No love for the trackball.
I was going to say is it Missile Command?
Missile
Command was close for me.
Yeah. Centipede, Millipede.
The problem is with trackballs for me is I was no good at them games. I
think it improves. It really does improve. Like, I'm really bad at Missile Command again in home arcades, but playing it at the actual arcade, it's so quick to move to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're playing at home, it's like slowly moving your cursor about, and it really changes the game.
What about Nintendo Sheriff and the gas knob?
Oh, that is just unique, wasn't it?
I don't know that one.
You don't know, or you'll get to play it when you come to the museum, Simon.
Sorry.
Sega.
Rival when Alex took Sheriff there?
No, I think Sheriff's that really rare one, isn't it, that you got?
Yeah.
The only Sheriff version I've played there wasn't a report to the Vectrex.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, that's the only version of it I've played. That's the only time I played that Sheriff game.
Oh, OSG there. The only thing you liked about his paper round was the Sunday Sport. Funnily enough, that was my favourite read as well.
Right. Okay. Is that everyone answered that now? Isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I've lost a bit of track of what I'm doing here because I was looking at the comments. Right. Okay. Let's turn that off. Paul's question. Paul on big screen.
Yeah, I thought I'd put a bit of a negative stream, a bit of a negative tint on the stream. But no, what interests me is because we haven't got the arcade experience now like what we used to have. And I think that's why Alex's arcade's going to be such an amazing place to go, because it just doesn't exist the way it used to. So what I want to know is what... Oh, it's gone. What was me... what console or what computer era, but it's probably going to be console, do you think finally kind of killed off the arcade as we knew it?
Know the answer to that.
Yeah, I do as well.
Right. So go on then, Paul. What do you think killed it?
Well, for me, it's I think the PlayStation, but I think that might be a bit later than what other people think. But because of when I was introduced to arcades, and I saw from that time, which was like the end of when I was on my Commodore 64, when I had my Amiga, still went to arcades. But when I started buying PlayStation games, for me personally, I didn't go to arcades as much as what I used to. I mean, that might be just down to the age of me as well, but I just feel like a lot of the games were like almost arcade quality, the way that they were in the arcades at the time. So for me personally, it would be the PlayStation 1. Just, the 32-bit era.
Right. Sorry.
Well, for me, there can only be one system or one game that completely stopped everyone going to the arcade because there was just no point anymore. And that's Pac-Man on the Atari 2600. Such an amazing port. It just killed it completely.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, I don't know what it is, but yeah, that's what I'm going to say. The Atari 2600 just completely... Shut the arcades down.
No.
But no, if you think about it, though, I think it's going to be around like the 16-bit era, isn't it? Like the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo. I think is when people stopped mostly going to the arcades. I mean, from what I remember, there was a lot of good ports and everything onto them. But yeah, I'm going to stick with Atari 2600. My final answer.
You just won £1 million. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, my answer actually is the same as what you just said. So, yeah, I would say the 16-bit consoles. No, the 16-bit consoles. Reason for I'd say that is because I know that I ended up in arcades less once Street Fighter 2, for example, came out on. And I would say the Mega Drive, but let's be honest, the Mega Drive version wasn't as good as the SNES version.
No, I disagree.
Here comes a six-button pad.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you played it with the original Mega Drive controller, you had to push start, I think, wasn't it? To switch between punch and kick, if I remember right.
That's why you go out and buy a 6-button one, Lee.
Well, yeah, this is it. But it meant you had to buy another pad, wasn't it? But yeah, I definitely think it was the 16-bit era from my point of view, because it definitely kept me out of the arcades because I was now playing Street Fighter 2 at home. So, yeah, that's my answer. Lee?
I was going to say the Neo Geo because my good friend had a Neo Geo, but it wasn't as attainable to people as much. But I would have said, I was going to say Street Fighter, but mine was Street Fighter 2 Turbo. When I could play that at home and then play Sunset Riders and NBA Jam at home on the Super Nintendo, I was pretty much like, wow, this is pretty good. I mean, yeah, you could say the PS1, but to me, it's 16-bit. I just really feel that the Super Nintendo, unfortunately for Sega, just had those few games that just made it better to sit at home and play them, especially with, like I say, Sunset Riders.
Scott's awesome. Looking very upset now.
Well, look, Sunset Riders was a better conversion on the Super Nintendo than the Mega Drive. Unfortunately, you had all 4 characters.
Yeah, but that weren't down to limitations of the Mega Drive. That was down to Konami not having the time to put the Mega Drive port out and they had to focus on the Super Nintendo because Nintendo held them to ransom.
Well, Nintendo, you know, I don't know, but Street Fighter 2 Turbo, I think, and Killer Instinct. Wow, Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
When you go back now, it was just the music, Killer Instinct, and just everything, combo, all that. Like,
and let's face it as well, when people had played Pit Fighter on the Super Nintendo, they weren't going to go back to the arcades, were they?
Pit Fighter. I used to like that in the arcades. It was terrible home conversions, but I liked it in the arcades.
Isn't a good home conversion.
No, there isn't.
I didn't even like the arcade version.
What you're saying there is like 2 or 3 games, but like, I mean, like, does that mean that the whole, like, the console itself, you think that
I think
through them?
I think it's easy to me. It's easy to say PlayStation 1 because it's a more powerful system. But to me, the 16-bit, there was at least a good handful of games that were just as good. I feel to the arcade. Like I said, NBA Jam, bloody hell, the amount of money I spent on that in the arcade, and then even, I mean, Turtles in Time was awesome. You know, Killer Instinct and Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yeah,
I think, and then obviously you go. There's other games you could have got.
Mortal Kombat.
You know, but yeah, there's so many. But I think the PlayStation, other than Wipeout, like you said, and okay, you had Lethal and Force. Well, you had that on the Super Nintendo, didn't it? Mega Drive.
Tekken, probably.
Yeah,
Even Tekken was still a bit blocky, even though it was good.
Oh yeah, the difference between Tekken 1 and 2 was massive. Like,
yeah, but in the arcade,
Soul Blade. Soul Blade on PS1 was really good.
The other one I like,
still blocky though. Still blocky.
There's that one game, League, that minimal people speak about. Star Gladiator. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember
that. That was very similar to. It's got 2 names. I think it's got Star Gladiator and something. It's like a very similar game to Soul Calibur and Soul Edge, but Star Gladiator is another good game. But then you flip that. You talk about Sega stuff. Then you're talking Last Bronx and Die Hard Arcade. I mean, there's so many you can talk about. But the 16-bit for me is what I feel anyway.
Scott.
I agree to an extent. I do believe the 16-bit era kind of brought a lot of power to the home and you could get very close arcade ports of games, but they still weren't quite there. But I do see that there was a mass appeal, and people maybe didn't go to the arcades as much. But I think a lot of developers of arcade machines and arcade games went over to the consoles because they were making more money. But you had the big powerhouses like Namco and Sega. They were still, if you think about it, when the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo was still current, you got Daytona. Now, the technology in Daytona was so advanced that cost Sega an awful lot of money to build that PCB that had technology in it that wasn't seen in the home, or a home console could not do Daytona until the PlayStation 3. And it's the same with Outrun. Outrun come out in 1986. You didn't see a true port of that game until the Sega Saturn, which was a 32-bit machine 10 years later. And it was the same with Daytona. That come out in the sort of like mid-90s, and you didn't see even the Sega Saturn couldn't handle Daytona. You didn't see Daytona until the PS3 10 years later. So Sega were very clever in that their home technology and their home consoles, because they weren't going to bite their arm off to spite their face and kill the arcades, because they're pioneering and their push in the arcades, they were still that big level. But I think what changed at the axes was Sony and the PlayStation, because it was not so much the power of the system, it was the change of culture. They made gaming very hip and very trendy. I remember Sony were pushing out the PlayStation 1 in all the nightclubs.
I remember them in red groups.
PlayStations. And the younger generation were then not so much thinking of, let's go down the arcade. They were like, I've got to get a PlayStation. I've got to play.
Yeah, the Wipeout pods, do you remember them? They used to have the Wipeout pods. I'd love to get one of them.
Yeah,
but Scott, the Dreamcast, for me, is the best arcade port console.
It's because it uses the Naomi technology, and then Sega tried to change it up. What they were doing is, for all them years, they were bringing out home consoles that didn't have the power of an arcade. But then they thought, well, let's put an even play field out there, a bit like Neo Geo did.
Yeah,
let's give the home console an arcade kind of machine, and then we'll bring out a lot of the Sega games at that time, like House of the Dead 2. I can remember when that came out in the arcades, everyone was blown away. But the Dreamcast port of that game was actually better graphically than the arcade game. And you saw the same with the likes of so Sega tried to change it. They knew it was dying. They were trying to mix it up and do something different with the Dreamcast. Unfortunately, it didn't work. But I think it was a change of culture, a change of lifestyle with gaming. And Sony nailed it with the whole, let's target teenagers. Let's put this in a nightclub. Let's get everyone playing Ridge Racer on the PlayStation 1 rather than down the local arcade. I think that was the final nail in the coffin. But I do get your guys' points in the 16-bit era. It evened the playground, didn't it? You could then get a good port of an arcade game.
Well, like what Alex U-Star Gamers put here, he worked in an arcade in the late 90s. 16-bit started to decline, but PS1 killed it.
Yeah. You only
Alex,
had the big powerhouses left after PlayStation. You only had Sega, Namco. All the others had kind of drifted off and gone into other things, hadn't they, by then?
Alex, same question.
Yeah, I think you're all missing a big point, though, which is what the home consoles, the 16-bit era was doing was creating games that we hadn't seen in the arcade. And that, for me, was the big attraction, playing games like Super Metroid, where you had these huge caverns and you could save your game and then come back to it a bit later. Super Mario World, these huge worlds. They weren't arcade ports, but they were games that you weren't getting in the arcade. RPGs, games you could, a real adventure, Zeldas, all that kind of stuff was coming to your home, and you could spend hours. You could spend so much more time playing those games than you could do arcade ports.
Yeah.
Now, in this country, I think it began in the 16 era. In America, I think it began even earlier. I think the NES, when that came out in America, it changed everything. You had the big arcade crash, 83, 84. The NES was marketed as a toy, but it was huge. They had control over everything. You had great arcade ports on there, Kung Fu Masters we've mentioned, and you had big RPGs in there. And you're talking like 85, 86. That's really in America where it started to decline. But obviously we didn't get the NES over here. We were still playing on the micros. But again, playing games that you wouldn't get in the arcade and arcade ports. We wanted the arcade port. But it wasn't until the Mega Drive came along and the Super Nintendo and Street Fighter, right, okay, now we've caught up with the arcades. But actually, all right, I'll play Street Fighter for a bit. But actually, I'm having more fun playing Mario Kart with my brother or Super Tennis, you know, games that are not in the arcade. They just had so much more choice, so many more games that you could play, an affordable say affordable, they weren't that affordable, but you know what I mean? It was just a different experience. And I think that's what killed the classic coin-up era off. But obviously Street Fighter, you had a resurgence again in the arcade. But then the home port of it killed it off. you know, sort of killed itself off. But of course, Sega went on for another 2 decades building amazing. But they were, like I say, earlier I was saying, dedicated racers that you just couldn't emulate at home. Unless you got some sort of rig. You're a multi-millionaire. You can have some fucking driving rig set up. But yeah, that's my view on it. That's how my experience with it is. I actually was looking for deeper games than just a quick sort of shoot 'em up. I got bored of shoot 'em ups in the arcade after a while, if I remember rightly. They just weren't doing anything different.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Once you played one, you played them all, didn't you?
Got a bit stagnant.
Yeah, shooters saturated the whole scene, didn't it?
Yeah, and platforms saturated the SNES towards the end of its life.
Yeah.
And we all got bored of that and then moved on to the 3D. And then we all got bored of that, all these 3D platforms, It moves so quickly, the video game industry. We're constantly looking for the new, latest, next best thing. Graphics, and that's what kills generations of consoles off, the next one.
Yeah.
That's why they're not too eager to bring out a new console. If the console's doing well, like the Switch, Nintendo won't bring out another one because I think they're making enough money off this as it is. Yeah, we're going for another couple of years just selling this console.
Well, I'd say in the latest generation, I mean, I wouldn't say it's so true with the PS5 and the new Xbox Series X because, let's be honest, there isn't much of a jump, is there?
No.
No, so you've lost that now.
Yeah. So, yeah, in the past, we saw these massive leaps each generation, but this latest one, I just don't think it's there, is it?
No, all it does is load quicker and you get a bit more shadowing or colour or, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not...
That's a different generation, isn't it? This is what I think the youth of gamers today want, is just like that little bit more frame rate, power, graphical effects.
Like a PC upgrade.
For me, the only thing that keeps modern gaming alive for me, and it pains me to say it, is Nintendo, because they do it different. And that's, I honestly will say this, the Switch is the best console Nintendo have ever done. And I'd probably go as far to say the Nintendo Switch is the best console ever to release.
Yeah, well, they cross over so many things, don't they? I mean, you've got home console, you've got handheld, you've got indie games, you've got AAA games. You know what I mean? It crosses over everything.
The only negative for the Switch, and I've said this before,
is it the Joy-Cons?
I nearly swore then. Why didn't Nintendo have a port to play 3DS games or DS games? That would have killed
that was something they were going to do, wasn't it?
That would have killed it.
Development, they were going to have the 3DS games be able to be played on the Switch.
That would have been so good.
Yeah.
Because
they've always been backwards compatible, though, haven't they? Every Nintendo has always been backwards.
I've got this handheld Switch, and now I've got to put that down and go and play my 3DS or my 2DS. Yeah. It's very annoying.
Yeah, they did miss a trick with that. Yeah, for sure. Right. Okay. Let's go into Sire's question.
Well,
So-
we have already talked about this though a little bit earlier. Oh, when casting spells. Love it.
I had to do it because I remember Paul saying it before.
Let's not talk about fire. Yeah,
Right.
we have already talked about it earlier. What are your thoughts on arcade one-up cabs? And the thing that gets me with that though is, as we talked about earlier, the build quality. And it's great that you have got those, like the Star Wars ones, and everything else. But I just don't like. I'm going to sound like what? Hello, Scott.
Sorry, Si. What happened? Yeah.
It's just Scott's just sitting there staring at the screen. Yeah, the build quality of them's terrible, and there's a load of them that just don't need to be dedicated cabs. And another thing that really annoys me is they sell you half a cabinet, and for a little bit more money, you can buy a box to sit it on, and then for a little bit more money, you can buy a matching seat to sit on it as well. You know, what I mean, it's just like properly flooding the market with that. But I'm going to mix up a bit now because remember when we were at the Blackpool, Paul, there was those the small scale arcade cabs. What are your thoughts on those compared to the one-up cabs, the little collectible ones?
Oh yeah, they're all right.
They look
That's
awesome.
what I mean. So because we have already talked about one-up cabs a bit, what are your thoughts on both of them?
Well, yeah. Sorry, whose turn is it?
Well, who was you asking that to, Si? Or was it-
All of you? That's what I mean. So what are your thoughts on one-up cabs, and what are your thoughts on these small, mini, little collectible ones, but you can still play the games?
I like the little mini ones. I've got it really, you know. I mean, I've got this that belongs to. And I've showed this before, but I mean, I've got this that belongs to Alex.
But, I class them as something different, though. They are.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the modern
These
ones.
are like replicas, aren't they? Like actual replicas.
Actual replicas of the miniature arcades.
I haven't got the modern ones. I've got to be honest. I like the look of them, but they are quite pricey for what they are. I think.
I bet.
In terms of one-up cabs, cheap, flimsy. I don't like the fact, like you say, that you have to buy a box so that it actually is at the right height. You know, they're too low.
Talking about the height thing, this cabinet behind me is a bar top one. And do you know what it's resting on? Do you remember the old school desks you used to get with a lift-up lid?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect size, 4 legs, and it fits it on there absolutely. You know what I mean? I couldn't believe how well it fits.
Yeah. But yeah, no, for me, I just feel that they're cheap. And it's funny because they feel cheap, but I wouldn't say they're cheap to buy, are they? So
how much are they?
300-400.
Yeah, I was going to say 400. And then
Smiths
more
sell them,
so if
don't
you're
they?
getting like, how much is the Turtles one, Scott, that's got like 4 controllers? Are they even more money?
Well, I owned the Turtles one, and it was available for £400, but only for a certain amount of time at Smiths. I think the big factor is with the arcade one-up is in America, they're really cheap. You can pick one up for $100, $200, and that's the price point they should be.
Yeah. I think
Here
with
in
that,
the
it's
UK, we're paying 2x, 3 times that for them, and that's what makes it sort of like hard to swallow to ever warrant getting them. For me, is I've owned the Turtles one. I got it off Facebook Marketplace. We played it on my birthday last year, and that suited its purpose. You know, I knew everyone loved beat 'em ups. We all played it, and then I sold it on because they are very flimsy. They are £200 max, I would say. If you're paying more for them, then you're mad, because they are just literally. I think they tried to mix it up a bit with the ones they've now reissued in the UK, as they've put a load more games on them to try and justify that price tag. But at the end of the day, there's a lot better ways you can play these games. I agree with Alex with the Star Wars one with the yoke. I think that's really cool. Maybe if they was to stick to them sort of releases, like a Paperboy one would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
you really want Paperboy, don't you?
Yeah, I'd love a Paperboy. Actually, I watched Cinny Steve's video the other day, and I'm just like, Paperboy. Bit like watching Alex's with that gunfight. Now I'm like, oh my god, that is amazing.
that gunfight there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, arcade one-ups. No. I've had one, I've owned one for a year or so. No. I would advise anyone, if they've got £500 burning in their pocket, go and get a chip shop jammer cab.
Yeah.
Go and buy one of those. If you want, get a multi-cart. You can make it as cheap as you want. You can get a Raspberry Pi, there's so many different things you can put in a jammer cab. You don't have to buy the PCBs if you can't afford them. Just get a good old chip shop jammer cab and have that instead, because for the money you're getting yourself a proper arcade machine rather than some MDF thing that falls to bits.
Yeah.
And as for the mini ones, I really like those. I had a few of those. I was collecting them, but I sold them all off because they just took up loads of room, gathering dust.
Yeah.
No, they are really cool. They play really well. The only one I've kept is my Sega Astro City Mini. I've kept
I remember
that.
the video on that.
It's got some really cool games on it. Some really
You can
cool...
hook that up to the TV as well, can't you?
You can.
Can you get 2-player on there as well?
Yes, if you plug in a second controller, you can play 2-player.
Yeah.
So, I've kept that, but I had the Tempest, I had Pac-Man, I had them all because I was a bit obsessed with these little mini... I wanted to have like a little mini arcade, but yeah, they just gather dust in the end.
Alex is yawning. He's had a busy day. So, Alex, same question to you, my friend.
Pretty much the same as Scott, really. I'd never own one in my life. If I saw one, I'd smash it up.
You kind of can't, really, can you?
It would stick out, wouldn't it, in your arcade?
Like I said earlier, unless it's got unique controls, you can play Space Invaders on any system, can't you? The Simpson games, I've never been into those type of games anyway. Simpson, and what's the other one? Turtles. I'm not a fan of those. What else have they done?
NBA Jam, Mortal Kombat, Marvel Street Fighter.
There's a driving one, isn't there?
They did bring Outrun in America out.
There's Golden Tee, the golf one as well.
So I totally get the NBA Jam one because that's 4-player, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, for me, I would get... If I was really into that game, I would probably try and get, 4 arcade sticks or something. I don't know, sit around the big screen and play it.
Yeah.
I just don't see the point of them, really.
Well, one way you could get around it, get a Pandora, and then you just plug in 2 controllers on the USBs, and you've got 4 players.
Yeah. Like Scott said, they're just too expensive for what they are.
Yeah.
I don't think they're worth anything more than 80 quid, if that, for what you're getting.
Yeah.
I've just heard countless people returning stuff as well because it's either ripped, cracked, broken, or dots on the screen.
People put them together and break them as well, don't they? Because of that flimsy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just my personal view on it. Not everyone's the same. Not everyone can afford this. I've always said, if you're playing the game, by any means, just do it. If you can afford that, then go for it. They're not for me. I'm trying to preserve all the old ones. I wouldn't want to go and buy this new stuff. There's just no point, is there?
Well, it's not, you see the American YouTubers, they've all got them, and it's because they're cheap.
What gets me though is I've seen a couple of shops now. There's one in Wantage. He's called Planet Toys, and he's set up 5, and he's charging people 10 quid for 2 hours to come in and play them. And he's advertising it as a classic arcade. All he's got in there is 1-up cats. And I just think, wow, that was easy to do. But no one's in there. No one's in there playing them.
Jade says hi, Alex.
Who's that?
Jade.
Jade. Hi, Jade.
Scott's better off.
Oh.
I was just saying, Lee, did you?
Yeah, one day we'll get to me. You'll come to the museum with Scott, won't you? I'm sure you will.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that, Paul?
I was just saying, did Lee go? I can't remember Lee.
Did you not?
No, mate.
Oh, sorry, mate. Go on.
Thanks, Paul. I was just going to say, I think they serve a purpose, and hear me out. Some people don't want to be lumbering around an arcade. They just maybe got a small, tiny space where they're allowed to have just one arcade, and I think that's fine. What I don't like is when people collect them and they go on like, oh, it's the nostalgia. It's not nostalgia because there's nothing nostalgic about that. But I feel it serves a purpose for certain.
Well, exactly that. It's nothing nostalgic about looking at a one-up cab, is there?
No.
So why don't you just play Space Invaders on your LCD screen?
I think
because there's so many better versions of it on the modern stuff. You don't come into a room and go, I've got a load of one-up cabs. Brings back so many memories. Well,
no.
They weren't there in the 70s. Nothing like it.
The particular ones, like the Star Wars one and the Golden Tee one, is ones I would probably have if they come up, or even the Turtles or the NBA Jam, purely because they're 4-player. I probably would.
Get that.
But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't go out my way and buy them brand new. I could get them from Facebook.
Trouble is, if you're buying them second hand, I'll guarantee you there'd be something broken on it.
I'm sure. I mean, I'd love to get
they don't last very long at all.
No, the X-Men 6-player one. I mean, the 2 screens. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But they serve a purpose, and like I said, I wouldn't go out my way. But you never know. If I found one cheap enough and it was working, I'd probably just buy one. Have it in the ass rather than in the games rooms, or I don't know. But
that's what I think. I think if they're doing the right thing, if they've got unique controls on there, or they're doing something a bit different, you can't really emulate at home very well.
I think if we were talking about the American prices over here, we wouldn't be talking about them being bad. It's just the price over here is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah. So this one behind me, custom built with my own artwork on it and everything else, cost me £400. You know what I mean? And it's got everything's custom on it. I mean, and it's properly solid built, Sanwa art joysticks and all the rest of it. It's just.
Did you build that then?
No, a friend of mine built this for me. He was starting up his own company, and he built this for me. And this play panel on the front is extra large because I wanted somewhere to rest my arms. I hated the fact that it was really small. So ever since doing that one, he's always done this size now, which he really likes. Plus, it's got plastic overlay over the top, so you don't rub off any of the artwork that's underneath. So all little touches like that add to it, and that was £400. So,
there you go. You can get something like that for £400, or you can get an arcade one-up, which has got one game on it.
And I know you can't see Alex, but it is all Ghosts and Goblins themed.
That's cool. I do. It's my favourite game at the moment.
Yeah,
love it.
Have you mastered it, Alex?
No.
It's a hard game, isn't it?
Is anyone?
Really high. I do get further each time I play. I get a little bit further. Yeah, so I do like that aspect to it. It's it's constantly, the more time you put into it, the better you get. Again, it's just a memory game again, isn't it?
Yeah.
And my memory's not as good as it used to be as I get older.
Paul, same question to you.
So those are the mini ones that we saw, at Blackpool. Like they literally are just a miniature arcade, like they're identical. I would absolutely adore some of them. I did ask the guy how
much those be plugged into your TV as well?
I don't know.
I didn't check that. I didn't look.
They didn't even have prices. They didn't even know how much they were going to cost. They're just right at the beginning of making them.
I will find out now.
That was a shame. But yeah, I'd love one of them. As for the one up arcade, it's a no-go, the same as it is for every arcade, because I just haven't got the room to put one anywhere. So it's just, if I was, if I was to get a bigger shed and
stick a Commodore label on the side of it, you'd snap it up.
I would definitely do what Scott's done there, what Scott said, and get a jammer card, because I just thought I had. Well, that's what we were playing when we were at yours. Wasn't it? It was just awesome. I want one, but I've no idea how I can talk our lass into getting one.
I think what you'll find, though, Paul, is when you're playing the one-up cabs, you constantly feel like you're going to break it. But with that jammer cab, we were all playing properly on that game and really getting into it, and you didn't feel like you're going to break anything.
Nah, it was solid.
And let's face how many people have played it before us. So.
It was a great selection of games as well. It was just the right era. It's more about the gameplay than like the graphics sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And it was just perfect. It really was. It was a great end of the night. So if I was to get any space, that's what I'd definitely go for. But I wouldn't even bother for the one-up cab, especially with the shoddy workmanship, and like I haven't got any nostalgia for any of the games anyway. So I'd rather have something that had a few different ones on that I can play.
I think the main thing we haven't said actually is CRT. At the end of the day,
yeah.
You want a CRT on your arcade cab, don't you? You don't want an LED or LCD monitor.
I think the only problem with that though is you're going to get people who don't want to maintain that. If you know what I mean. I said arcades I would class as having like a good classic car. You know what I mean? It takes a lot to keep them going. Where some people were quite happy to have one of these monitors in because you know it's going to be going for a while. So, who's Mario's going off?
Yeah,
It's mine.
who's this there?
It's mine.
Is it you?
I'm just looking at them cabs because they're made by Numbskull, I think, aren't they? And I'm just looking to see if you can actually plug them in. I've not found anything definitive, but it doesn't look like you can.
No, I don't think you can.
I think the replica cabs are really cool. I mean, I don't play them, but whenever I have little meets here, the kids always seem to sort of be attracted to them, and they always play them. But they're just gathering dust. But they've always been given to me as sort of gifts, so I've never brought any of them. But they do look cool. They are cool. They've got a few of them out now, haven't they? Dragon's Lair and...
Yeah.
I think Dragon's Lair is a good one because let's face it, who's going to own the full-size Dragon Lair?
Quarter Arcades, Numbskull bringing out Space Invaders this month, are they, or next month? That looks really good.
Oh, is Paul saying here that you can? It says here.
It's saying that it has got HDMI output.
Yeah, I was looking on there, but it doesn't tell you in the description that it can do that.
I know the early Numbskull ones, and I can't remember the name of the other company that done Tempest and all that. Them ones you couldn't put on your TV.
Yeah. Hang on. Little ones at Blackpool. Hang on, what's this one here? Them little ones, Blackpool, you could plug in, they had HDMI output. Oh, okay. All right.
That's
cool.
cool.
In the coin door. In the coin door. Right, okay. Because I did have a look at a picture. Yeah. Yeah, that would explain it. Because the picture I was looking at, you couldn't see it on the back. So, yeah, makes perfect sense. Right, okay. So I did have a question, but I'm not going to do it because I know that Lee's got to shoot. So I'm thinking if we go through what we've got coming up, and then we'll call it a day.
Let's start with Lee so we can run.
Yeah, yeah. Go on in, Lee.
So I guess I've got to redo my video because I've had a few people messaging me to say even though it's premiered and gone, it's not working. So I'll probably redo that video tomorrow, but it's fine because I've got stuff still here. And then we've got Swap Shop on Sunday, which is, I don't want to say it's a Halloween special, but it's the 30th, so it kind of will be. So Sega Zombie, Gernardino, Retro Games Island, who are another nice new tuber, Cyber Snake J, and Pete, Geordie Retro Chasers, who I love his channel. If you don't watch his stuff, you should watch it. And then hopefully I've got another video this week. I've got hopefully another one this week about some other
Two videos in a week. I mean,
yeah.
Hey, you know, it is a YouTube channel. Just to let you know.
Did you know?
Yeah, we know. We have to remind
I
you.
thought it was a soap opera.
Yeah.
Feels like it sometimes.
Yeah, it is, mate. It is. Yeah, that's it. It's been great tonight, and Alex, you know I love you to pieces, and I can't wait to meet you in person, big bruv. And I think all of us were all rooting for you, and I can't wait to get to the museum and start kicking some of them playing some of them arcades.
We just they kicked my high scores, but
Whoa. Well, we'll see.
yeah.
Right, Scott, what you got coming up?
Well, I've just finished filming today a channel update pickups video. So I've just got to put the finishing touches to that. It's quite an epic one. I go through quite a bit in that video. So, yeah, I've got to make sure that doesn't run too long. So I've got that. And I'm also going to be starting a series on the Dreamcast.
Yes.
Is that your full set Dreamcast?
Yes. Well, the thing is a couple of people have reached out to me and said, and especially in the shop, when people hear that I've got a full Dreamcast set, they're like, wow, you've not done any videos on it. And I'm like, Christ, was it really 3 or 4 years ago when I finished the set? Has it been that long since I've covered it?
Well, I bet you're glad you're doing it back then.
Yeah. I'm going to
pricey now, isn't it?
It's crazy now. And there's going to be a lot of that in this video, in these series of videos, in how the prices have gone mad. You know, I wouldn't advise anyone to go out and get a full set of the Dreamcast now. But, you know, there's some great games on the Dreamcast that don't cost a lot of money. You know, a lot of people focus on these games that cost £300-400 that are rubbish. You know, you've got to play the good games, and the good games on Sega consoles tend to be cheap because they're Sega games that sold well. So, you know, there's going to be loads on that. And then also, I'm going to bring the retro realm more to my channel because a lot of things have changed in the retro realm. We've now got better Wi-Fi, so potentials for live streaming
finally
from the retro realm. It's taken months of negotiations with the people that run the place to get a decent Wi-Fi in there, but I think we've nailed it. And just to try and do some more videos from the retro realm.
Fantastic idea.
Oh, and also,
Glad you do it.
Are you paying Skelly to be your PR or something? Someone Paul asked here, where is the museum? And then Skelly's like,
well, he literally lives 5 minutes away, though, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
And then he come back with even further details, even a postcode. Look, that's dedication, that is, isn't it?
He'll have your shoe size on there in a minute.
Right, so Alex, what you got coming up?
Well, I'm trying to get a video out every week, but some weeks I'm just driving too much to even sort of contemplate getting one out, and I try not to get stressed out over it now.
I think it's understandable, though, isn't it, really, at the moment? So
yeah, and I want to get a video out every week, but I just can't. Like tomorrow, I'm going to go in there. I've got super hang-on in the back of the van. I had to take it into bits tonight because I can't lay it flat because of the plastic cowling.
Yeah.
So I've had to take all that off, take the monitor off. That's all in the van, ready to go. So that's going to the museum tomorrow. Then I've got to assemble it, and then I might do a video on Battlezone 2. Whether I'll get it up over the weekend, I don't know, because Friday I'm driving to
But
London.
you do know that's going to be put on Swap Shop now, don't you, what you just said then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just loads of driving around at the moment. If I get a video up, then that'd be great. If I don't, then it'll be next week for sure. Just
I've got to be honest. The minute I see a notification come up saying that you've done a video, I'm straight on it. Like, it's exciting times. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not far off now.
Great to see more videos on you restoring these games. Like that gunfight, I was in awe of that video. I was just amazed by it, and I just wanted more and more and more. And when you ended the video, I was like, what? Aren't they going to strip it apart now?
Yeah, we're going to come back. That's going to be a long-running video, that.
Yeah,
series,
that's going to be amazing.
Because there's so much to restore.
Yeah.
But it's great because when you come to the museum, you'll see how far we've got with it.
Yeah.
Actually, one day it'll be working and you can play it all, and then I'll move on to another cabinet.
Lee,
There's
do
a
you
lot
need to shoot? You're looking like you.
Me, yeah, I'm going to shoot in a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got that look that you wanted to say something.
Oh,
but...
do you want to go, Lee?
I need to go because I've got to go to London to the O2 pick up my daughter.
Yeah,
So
no worries, mate.
I'm going to go.
Chat with you, buddy.
Cheers.
See you
See
soon,
you
guys.
See you later. See you later.
I could just see he had that look in his eye, but he didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, he did say to me earlier that he needed to get away because something to do with the train, so he had to go and get his daughter. So yeah, Alex, you were saying, or was you done?
Yeah, we'll have a date soon. You know, hopefully next couple of weeks we'll have a date. If all of you come down and see it once we've got everything set up. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What I want to know though, Alex, is where's the nearest pub there? Because we're all travelling from quite far away, so we'll be staying overnight.
Yeah.
Where's the nearest bar?
I can't remember what it's called, Simon. There's a few nice pubs in the area. There's a nice up road. There's a few nice pubs. I don't.
Because if we're doing it, we'd have to do it the weekend. You see, so.
Sorry.
Because if we come down, because we're all coming from so far away, we'll have to do it as the weekend. So that'll be a great one.
Yeah, I'm not too sure of the area myself, really, mate. I haven't been there that long, so people keep asking me what's the best hotel to stay in. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I've not stayed in any of them.
How far is the drive from yours to the museum, Alex?
40 minutes.
Well, so it is a bit of a distance then.
No, I don't mind it. I mean, I'm used to driving that duration in London. Just going from one borough to the other.
I think I'm an hour and 20 minutes away, to be honest. So driving wise, so it's not too bad.
It's a nice drive as well. It's not like a horrible drive. It's all through the Cotswolds, so it's nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I'm in another time zone, so I'm just about.
You're not even in this country, Paul.
But it's only 43 miles from Bristol Airport, which I can.
That's what I was going to say. You just fly. He'll get there before we do.
Yeah, but Paul doesn't like flying.
I don't, but it's worth it to see the people I want to see.
I can always pick you up from the airport, mate, if it's not that far.
Oh, yeah, go on then. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll take that. You get in the back of the van with the arcade cabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can hold on to it as he's burning it down the road. Right. Si, what you got coming up?
Well, at the moment, I'm a bit on a Spectrum Next kick, if you know what I mean. So I'm doing a couple of videos on that. I've got some new games to do. And a couple of live streams as well. So, and they all sparked my interest again because I haven't actually played the Spectrum Next for probably about a year. Just haven't. It's just been there. I hadn't used it. And then in Blackpool, I picked up the Baggers in Space, the Warhawk, and the other game. I can never remember the name of it. And it really got me back into it again. So, yeah, it's...
Wasn't it Terrarium or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Terrarium.
Even when I'm sitting there reading it, you know me and my dyslexia, it still doesn't sound... Every time I say it differently. So, yeah, focusing on that. And, yeah, just... I think that's going to be it for the next week or so.
But I never got round to playing it.
No, I know. You like the idea, you got it, and then realised that you didn't even move over to the 128k Spectrum, did you? So
no,
the next was a completely different ball game altogether.
And I've still got so many other games that I haven't got round to. It was just too much. I think
the next is good, and I'm really looking forward to when the new Kickstarter comes out, and there's so many more people with it, what they can code, if you know what I mean. And it's very early days. I know it's been out for a couple of years, the Spectrum Next, but it was very few people got one. That's why the prices were so high. So when the next one comes out, it's going to be so many... Sorry, forgive my dog scratching itself and then barking at itself. Don't have a greyhound, they're wimps. Did you hear that bark then?
Yeah.
That was her scratching her ear. But yeah, the Spectrum Next, when it comes out, so many more people with one, it's going to be amazing. I just can't wait to see what the next 5 years brings to the next. So that's what I'm focusing on at the moment.
Yeah,
I enjoyed your exclusive the other night. I thought that was really good.
Do you know what? It looks so similar to the first Baggers in Space game, but when you've played the two of them, you can tell. I think what Jim was telling me is when they were coding the first one, they didn't know the full specs of the next. But now, since they've coded the second one, they've rewritten the whole engine for it, and they know what they can push the limits of it now. So they look similar, but they play so differently.
Yeah.
So, good game.
If anybody hasn't seen Size Exclusive, they should check that out, because that's definitely interesting. Paul, what you got coming up?
So, heading up to Halloween. I've been doing a few no-nonsense top 10s, which is just 10 Commodore 64 games of a certain genre. It's not a top 10. It's just 10 that you should play. They're not in order. That's up to you.
How dare you leave some games out, though, Paul?
Some of the responses. I got a great one today, and it was like, so basically every game is, you've got R-Type and 9 games that want to be R-Type. I was like, kind of like, that was the whole genre of the video. So yeah. So yeah, hopefully that'll be done by Halloween. But I've also been having a bit of help for the Essential Top 10, which is like a more voiced over video. And Scott's been giving his hand some suggestions with Spectrum games. So I've got a few of them to play. So I'm going to start getting stuck into them so I can get that done. I finished the Amiga collection. So the next logical step for me is to move on to my PlayStation 1 collection, because that's how it went in the past. I went from the Amiga to the PS1. So I'm going to do some videos showing the PlayStation 1 games I've got, why I've got them, and, if I used to enjoy playing them, which is pretty much all of them, otherwise I wouldn't buy them again. And last but not least, I'm trying to set up basically one more quiz before we get to the finals of the quiz, which of course will be ending on my channel this year. This will be the the last year of the quiz. So I've got some work to do on that, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to hand it over to someone. I really do hope that someone else will take it on. And there's been a few conversations, so watch this space. Hopefully,
you put a lot of work into that, but I don't think people quite realise how much time it takes to do a quiz, do they?
It does, but you learn how to streamline it over time. With making the videos for the rounds, you kind of keep a lot you keep a lot like set out so you can just like swap them over. So I've got loads of plans, but this is the thing, because the quiz is kind of done. I can concentrate more on making my videos now.
Unfortunately, though, because if you finish in the quiz, you're never going to have somebody on as long as winning streak as Scott.
Well, never. That's why we had to change the dynamic of the quiz. The problem with winner
How many weeks, Scott?
Scott was so good that I then had to get harder questions. But obviously, the people that he's going up against now have to do even harder questions to try and beat Scott. So it was just kind of a snowball effect. So that's why we've done away with that. I mean, we've got the league table, which Scott's top of. So, so that's where we're at the minute. But we've got the final, and we should have a Christmas special as well. And then that'll be it for me. So yeah, I'm able to kind of plan what I'm doing. But that's my plans for what I want to do with the channel going forward.
Nice. I mean, like Cy just said, I mean, it was very time consuming, wasn't it? So this is the thing, it allows you to do other things that you want to do, doesn't it? Really,
you wouldn't believe how difficult it is sometimes to get 3 people, because you've got to be a certain type of person to want to do the quiz, I think. So that really narrows down the amount of people who can do it. And then being able to do a Wednesday night, all 3 people at the same time, it's harder than what you think to try and put that together. And then
I was thinking maybe you could have done something like the mastermind, be more specific. Just
have you chosen questions? You chosen subjects?
Yeah, we could. I mean, I thought if nobody takes it on, then I'll start doing like a special, like once every 3 months. I'll do like maybe 4 a year, and it'll be like 8-bit computers, 16-bit consoles. Do you know what I mean? It would be that's how it will go forward, because that gives us loads of time to sort it out. The same with whoever would want to go on there. A bit like the movie quiz that Steve was part of last month. It would be like something more like that, but that's if nobody else wants to take it over.
I like Paul's comment here. So Scott ruined the quiz then.
Scott was on it as much as Paul was.
I think so.
Yeah.
Scott was only there to prompt Paul when he missed number 7.
Yeah, Scott was his co-host.
So as Paul says, I've got loads of ideas. There's loads. I've literally got a page on my phone where when I have an idea, it just goes straight in there, and I've just got a list of these ideas, and I'm starting to now finally make some headway through them.
See, one thing I want to say is when you did your top 10 Commodore shoot 'em ups, all you did was create a list of games I've got to get.
Some of them are just unreal, though. Really are.
I was
like, oh my
surprised
god,
at how many of them I'd never played, like on that list.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, there's 3 that I've never even heard of, and out of two of those, they're absolute must-haves. Like, you have to play them.
Yeah, I was literally sitting at work with a post-it note, jotting down all the ones I need to get. Like, because you said to me, I think in the chat, didn't you? There's something you're going to need to get, Lee, and you was right.
You're going to want to say it. Someone wrote on Facebook on one of the links that it was a very poor top 10. Well, whatever. It's my top 10.
The thing is, it's subjective, isn't it? You're never going to please everybody. So
I actually wrote back. I was like, I respect your opinion. I'd love to hear what your 10 would be. Not a peep.
Yeah. I'm sick of Paul on WhatsApp. I think he thinks on Dragon's Den. He's always asking me, "What do you think of this?"
Pretty much. Paul's also me like IT support. Literally, I feel like I'm just the mouthpiece, and he's running the channel from the background.
I don't know. Well, speaking of OSG, I've got Micromaniacs next month. I'm not definitely sure on the date yet, but I'm thinking maybe the 10th for next month. OSG's coming on, or should be. Scott, you're coming on, aren't you?
Yeah.
And also, I'm hoping to be getting 8-bit Retro Refix, which is funny because he's appeared in the chat recently. Yeah, I want to get Steve on as well. So, yeah, looking forward to that. In terms of videos, I don't really know. I mean, I've got things I need to do, but problem is Connor's off school. So getting in here to do videos, it's not easy when he's on holiday. I need to do another Star Wars video game pursuit video because I haven't done one there for ages and I've got a small stack. And I need to do a pickups as well because I haven't done one of them in months. So yeah, at some point I need to do them. Micro content, I don't know. I have got some homebrew, but like I say, I'm not going to be able to get in here for a couple of weeks. So he's got 2 weeks off. Some kids are only off for a week, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I like I say, not really sure. Whatever goes up is what I'm doing. That's the best way to put it. But yeah, Micromaniacs should be on the 10th. So that's one thing I do know.
Look forward to it. Good stream, that.
Yeah. Yeah. I always enjoy doing it. It's different and it's nice to talk about the old systems, isn't it? And also there's a couple of topics. I've read a few things recently because as you guys know, I've recently got the Amstrad, thanks to Scott, because he tagged me on Facebook. Got that for a really good price. And yeah, so I've been looking into the Amstrad a bit more, and there's a couple of things I found out that I didn't know. But I'm not going to say what they are. I'm not going to give it away. We're going to discuss that on the Micromaniac. So there was something I was really surprised at. Something that Amstrad did, and you could say it's a bit dodgy. That's all I'm going to say.
It's Alan Sugar.
Yeah, I know. But like I say, we'll
anything to get you spend more money on something.
Well, I can't really say anything without giving it away. Watch the Micromaniacs.
Don't just carry on.
Right, okay. So I think we'll wrap it up there because we've gone way over 2 hours. We've already lost Lee as well. So anything anyone wants to quickly add before we end this?
No, before we end it, if you're not subscribed to Arcade Archive, you've got to get over there and support Alex. Subscribe to his channel. And with all the negativity that's been going on about Patreon, forget that, because Patreon is there as a platform and a tool, and it can be really good and really positive. And I just want to say before we go that what Alex is doing with the arcade and the museum is giving something massive back to the community and the niche and the people that are really interested in the whole of the arcade scene. And I know the time, the money, the investment, everything that's gone into this project. If you can't get along there and visit it regularly, like I can't, I'm 4 hours away from the Arcade Archive. So it's going to be, you know, a few times a year I can visit and give my support that way. So I'm backing him on Patreon, and I pay Patreon to Alex to help him support this great museum. And if you can all give a little and support in any way you can, you know, there's people that have loaned him cabs and doing loads of things to help Alex out. I know he won't say this himself. That's why I'm saying it. And go over and support the Arcade Archive. And if you can give a little to the Patreon to help support Alex on this journey and this fantastic, magical arcade, then please do. I just want to...
Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much, mate. I really do appreciate that. And we've had a lot of support, and it's just amazing. It really is. And it is a community thing, and it is somewhere where you're going to see games where you ain't going to be able to see anywhere else in the world. You ain't going to be able to play Sky Skipper. You ain't going to be able to play Sheriff. These are games out of my collection I've put into the arcade that you guys can come down and play. That's the whole point of it. Mm-hmm. And obviously, it takes time, it takes money, keeping them working and all sorts. But if you just come down and pay through the door, it's great. We just want to see you in there, you know.
Just support it.
Yeah, because it's going to be an amazing day, especially with Neil's cave as well. Make a nice day, do the morning in the arcade, go upstairs in the afternoon and do the consoles and computers. It's just going to be a fantastic day. So I do really appreciate everyone that supports it. It's been amazing.
Yeah, we appreciate the work you're putting into it as well, Alex, because it's not been easy, has it? But
No.
Yeah, we can definitely see that if you didn't have the passion, you wouldn't have done all this work.
Yeah,
the
it's
passion
quite
definitely shines
quite
through.
nerve-wracking at times.
Yeah.
You know, complete change of career, but you know, just got to do it, haven't you? Give it a go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you
know.
have.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to get there. I really can't.
No.
I'm looking
Yeah, it's
forward
going to
to
be
it.
amazing.
Especially if we can work it out so that all of us guys are there. That'll be really good.
Yeah.
Oh, in the new year, definitely with all us Retro 5 guys, we've all got to meet up, go down.
Yeah.
And
Knock on Retro Skelly's door because he's next door.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
pick up. Yeah.
Probably have to take Martin with us as well. So
There
we
you
can
go,
check out
Hobby
last
Lodge.
one again.
We'll get a nice little minibus. We'll have a little road trip to Gloucestershire,
Yeah.
and yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
You know, we won't have a chance against Martin, though. He'd be beating us all on him.
Yeah, we won't take
Well, you
no-
have seen Alex play.
Oh, true. Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Alex versus Martin. The showdown of the century.
What's Martin good at then?
Just seems to be any game we put him in front of, to be honest.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you know, we all had to go on Juno first. We was all getting better as we went on, and then Martin jumped on it and just blew us all out of the water.
Did he?
So, yeah. So, yeah, he's pretty good. Right, okay. I think we'll end this one there then, guys. Thanks for coming on, Alex. I've really enjoyed this.
Thanks for
And as you
having us.
know, this episode had to be done. So,
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it opening and can't wait to go down and see it. So, and play Double Dragon.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's just going to be great. Another place to meet in the UK where all us retro heads can all get together, have a natter, play some games, set some high scores. That's
Yeah.
going to be amazing, isn't it? It's going to be
We're
great.
gonna have a screen in there where everybody's high scores on.
Yeah.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, just looking into that today actually.
So no swear words then in it.
No.
Could have put your own.
Oh, hang on. What's this here?
You can't have a stream without magic wood.
You know you're never getting away from that,
I'm never
Alex.
gonna
Right?
let that down, am I?
No.
Do you know what? I'll have to get you a T-shirt with that one. I'm glad everyone's enjoyed it. That's good. And get over and support Alex. His link is in the description below, as well as everybody else's. And like I said earlier, the music that we used, the link for that is also down below. So if you want to check out that album, that's there too. Right. Okay. Without further ado, guys, let's end this.
Bye bye.
Cheers,
later.
guys.
Guys,
Bye.
see ya.